Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Shalom. Brother Naquam, Watchmen for Israel, coming back at you with these precepts. And the Monday Night Fire, giving, of course, all honor and all glory to Yahweh, by Shema Mashiach, Malak Yabushai. Double honors to the elect elders of the house of David that's been in this truth for decades and decades, patiently waiting for the second coming of Mashiach, Malak Yabushai. A hearty, mighty Shalom to all of the mighty men of the Most High God who are out there on the highways and byways, pushing this truth, magnifying the ministry, presenting their body as a living sacrifice, and enduring all things for the elect's sake. Shalom, shalom. A hearty, mighty shalom to all of the men of the Lord that may not be out there on the highways and byways as of yet, but they're working on it. They're getting built up in the spirit. They're praying, they're fasting, they're studying. They're being diligent and abounding in the work of the Lord. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the Aquath out there, the sincere sisters out there, holding it down in the households, reverencing their husbands, being submissive, being diligent, and moving in the spirit of our righteous foremothers. Shalom, shalom. Shalom to all of the ancient men, the children, and shalom to everybody else of the 12 tribes scattered abroad, and everybody tuning in live. Brother Azariah, Don Israel, HBK Int, daughter of Zion, Juliet 18, Aquam, son of Naquam, Solon Williams, Natash, Tazar, Bon Aparium, Shalom, King, Feed Me Righteously, Solomon McFadden, and everybody else tuning in and that will tune in. I mean, we're back at it again, man, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai. Sticky marriage situations, the return, right? So we've done a good amount of videos regarding marriage, regarding sticky marriage situations, what we like to call them through the spirit. And how this is important to tackle as a nation due to the fact that we as a people are returning back to Yahweh Bashmi Abashai, man. We're returning back through the laws. The laws dictate how to be married. The laws dictate how men deal with their wives. The laws dictate how marriage is supposed to be handled. The laws dictate how a husband is supposed to treat his wife, how a wife is supposed to reverence her husband, how they're supposed to come together in the knowledge of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai, and in unity, man. And when that gets tainted, or when that gets defiled, or when that sanctity is no longer there, we have to be able to talk about it and discuss how these things came to be, how to prevent them, be proactive in our before men get married, before women get married, what to look for, what not to look for. And we tend to make this somewhat of a Q&A. We also go through, through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai, through the breakdowns, but also this is more so for brothers and sisters on the comment board who have questions about marriage or about a particular situation. And then we pretty much will put that question up. If you're comfortable with that question, and your question, you never know, can actually save somebody's life, man. Right? Because marriage is a matter of life and death. Let's go to Hebrews chapter 13 and 4. Right? And not doing things the right way can get you jammed up in the eyes of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai, man. Moving in the spirit of whoredom, lewd fornication, just outright wickedness. These things are against you, man. Right? Let me get the brother in here.
Shalom, King.
Yahweh Bashmi Abashai Barakatah.
Yahweh Bashmi Abashai Barakatah.
Okay, Khan, let me get this. This is Hebrews chapter 13 and verse 4. Marriage is honorable in all, and the bed undefiled, but whoremongers and adulterers the Most High will judge. So marriage is honorable, man. What does it mean, honorable? It means something that's highly revered or reverenced in the eyes of Yahweh Bashmi Abashai. Of course, in the world, there's a plethora of derogatory terms that define the relationships between an Israelite man and an Israelite woman, man. You got jump offs, you got damn thoughts, you got baby daddies, you got friends with benefits, you got all types of things, man. Sneaky links, you got just all types of lewd terms that exemplify the relationship between a man and a woman, man. And seldom do you hear a man say that's my wife or that's my husband, according to Yahweh Bashmi Abashai, man. There are a few marriages. Think about the Israelites on the earth as the sand of the sea that can't be measured nor numbered. Think about how many Or how many times have you ever heard in this, a marriage or a man and a wife together, and you heard them say they were married under the covenant of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, man? It's a rare thing. So marriage is honorable and all. When Abraham and Sarah got married, Isaac and Rebekah were married, that was honorable and all. But the Most High said, but whoremongers and adulterers, God will judge, man. So a whoremonger is what? A whoremonger is somebody who makes a profit off of having sex with multiple women, and they don't marry those women. So, right, you might be laying down with this sister this year, and then deal with this sister next week, and then deal with this sister, and then you never call them back, you never text them, you never knew them, you met them one time, and you just did God knows what with them, huh? That's whoremonger. Or you might have a woman, then you might lay with that woman, and that woman is your wife after proving or courting her, and then you might put her away for whatever your own reason is, and then just marry another woman and do the same thing with woman after woman and woman after woman, man. Right? That's also whoremongers, right? And adultery is what? Right? Adultery is when a man lays down with a woman that's either promised to or married to another man. And from a woman's standpoint, adultery is a woman when you're married or promised to another man and you lay down with another man. That would be adultery. All right. So adultery, one more point, adultery is not when a man lays down with a woman once he's married. Because that woman, if she's single, he has a right to lay down with that woman if it's done in order and it's done in righteousness and it's done through counsel and the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, right? Just to define what adultery is, because you may be watching divorce court, right? You might be heard what your grandma said, right? You might have heard something that's not according to the scriptures, man. You know, what you got it, King.
Con. And I want to bring out the book of Isaiah, chapter 51, and verse number 2. It says, look unto Abraham your father, and unto Sarah that bare you. So a lot of people, they get marriage advice from TV, their auntie, their uncle, past relationships, right? They're getting counsel from the world. Hey, the Lord told you to look unto Abraham. Abraham was a provider, a protector, a leader, right? He handled the flock. He was somebody to look up to, man. Right? Damn 50 Cent, damn Little Baby. These are not people we're supposed to be looking up to, man. Their lifestyles, the way they live, the way they move. Right? You can't map off your life off of good times, man. And how did he treat Florida? You just sitting up there in the house trying to figure it out. You're supposed to look unto Abraham, your father, and unto Sarah that bare you. And Sarah had faith. It says, for I called him alone and blessed him and increased him. Because you got a lot of people that give you bad advice, bad counsel, right? And it'll overthrow your whole marriage and your whole household, man. All by listening, having itchy ears, having a type of spirit to where you hate reproof. You just want to hear what you want to hear. Let me bring this out. This is Iraq, chapter 23, and verse number 15. Right, I'm going to start at 16. Two sorts of men multiply sin, and the third will bring wrath. And the Lord is big on, marriage in the scriptures. Even the elect is likened unto what? The bride of Yahushua. And the Lord likens the whole book, right, unto what? A marriage. Unto the elect and unto Yahushua being bidden unto the kingdom of heaven. Everything's likened unto a marriage. It says two sorts of men, right, multiply sin, and the third will bring wrath. A hot mind is as a burning fire. It will never be quenched till it be consumed. A fornicator in the body of his flesh will never cease till he have kindled a fire. And that goes to the whoremongers, right? All of these women, like the brother was saying, they call themselves thoughts and tricks and all of these different code words and slang they throw on our sisters, man. You don't want to move in the spirit and this truth to where you're not taking care of your duties as a man in a marriage. It says, will never cease till he have kindled a fire. All bread is sweet to a whoremonger. He will not leave off till he die. I mean, he's not going to stop. You got to be a real man of the Lord to cast away the worldly knowledge and all of that fornication. That's what the Gentiles do. That's what wicked men do. And when you walking up right in this truth, you have to understand that the ideal thing that you're supposed to do as a man with the wife is to get married. Bear children, you understand, for wives. Take care of your wives. Teach them. Lead them. A lot of the law is going back to the family. Deuteronomy, the 6th chapter, Deuteronomy, the 11th chapter. There are various things in the law, mapped off of dowry of virgins, right? Your father, right? How he would deal, saying the spoils of war and, giving his daughter up for marriage. And all of these different things are mapped out. There are multiple laws on it. It says, all bread is sweet to a whoremonger. He will not leave off till he die. And we're not in a wicked spirit to where we're coveting the world and what makes our flesh happy. We're after the mind of the spirit. You got it, Ken.
That's right. That's right, man. So I want to get this precept, right? Let's go to the book. First, I want to deal with a brother put something on the, we're not dealing with scoffers. We see that there's a scoffer, Oso Bresolo, right? So we'll just get rid of, we don't have time to be entertaining scoffers, man, right? The sower soweth the word, and these are they by the wayside where his word is sown, right? But when they have heard, Satan cometh immediately and taketh away the word that was sown in their heart, right? That's written. HB can't it. Is a woman that kiss or is emotional attached to another considered adultery, right? So this is a situation, man, because you might be in a situation, God forbid, I don't even want to say you might be, man. I don't want to say you might be, but I mean, God forbid, man. Like I was talking to Yaradan earlier, man. Time and chance, man. Right? Time and chance happening to them all. So if you're in a situation where a woman kisses somebody or that's an emotional attachment, that's completely off, man. Now, I want to get the scripture right here, right? I want to get this first and foremost. Let's go to 1 Thessalonians. I want to get the classic, the 5th chapter. Then I want to get another precept, and we'll deal with it. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and 20. Salakia. 1 Thessalonians, where I'm at. Salakia. Right, I'm in Timothy. Okay, 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 22. Abstain from all appearance of evil. Right? So if your woman is kissing a man, that's evil, man. And that's really going in the spirit of fornication, man. Right? Kissing on another man. Damn, like I said, we're going to be transparent, right? If you got the kids in the room and you don't want them to hear certain words, then it's best to tell them, they could turn on, VeggieTales or something, man. Right? Put them in the room and put on VeggieTales or Superbook or something like that. But we're going to be upfront, man, and direct how we always are, right? So this is that's a disclaimer, right? Why are you saying that? Ooh, that's a bad word. Well, look, we're just going to tell you what it is, man. This is sticky marriage situation. This isn't kids corner, huh? WFI kids corner, right? So if your woman, just to put that out there, your woman is kissing on another man, touching all on him. He's kissing all on her body parts and God knows what, man. And she's kissing him back, but he didn't go in unto her, but he kind of did things and she did things, and that's all fornication, man. Right? Then your woman come back, but he didn't go in unto me. I made sure he didn't. But everything else happened, man. So your woman is defiled. I know, Ryan, you want to get in there.
Con, I want to bring out this quick point too. In Mark chapter 7 and verse 20, it says, and he saith, that which cometh out of the man, that defileth the man. Right? It says, for within, out of the heart of men perceive evil thoughts, adulteries. So I'm going to read that again. For within, out of the heart. So before you physically commit adultery, you've already committed it in your heart. It's in your mind. Before you go praise that idol, you already thought within yourself, the glory of the idol. Your eyes beheld it. You were secretly enticed. Your hand was kissed. You start to yield until all of the things that are luring you to that spirit. It says, within evil thoughts, adulteries, fornications, murders, right? So you have something in the law that's an accidental murder, right? But then you have premeditated murder. That's even in this man's society. They'll lock you up. They'll break down your house. They'll see all of the things you done chalked up. You know, the secret entrance. You know, and he gets home at 4 o'clock, and they're gonna burn you alive, man. Right? But then you have what? You have, it says, adulteries, fornications, murders, thefts, covetousness, wickedness, deceit, lasciviousness, and evil eye, blasphemy, pride, foolishness. All these evil things come from within and defile the man. So that woman's already defiled. You know, once her mind is made up, that's what she wants to do. I mean, you can't just be in a bed thinking about another man while laying with your husband. You're already defiled. You can't be sitting up there thinking about all of these men of the world, man, and these celebrities. You know, that's defiled. So you're essentially defiling yourself and committing adultery within yourself, right? All by having an evil heart and an evil spirit. And that's the first step and sign to give yourself over to that. You got it.
Yeah, and then you got women. Oh, it was an accident. You know, he was, you know, it was something that just happened. I don't know what happened. I'm normally not like this, right? If your woman has an emotional attachment to another man, that in a sense, like where I was going to, her mind is defiled in adultery. Now you can rebuke her, right? In that spirit, she thinking about another man, right? But if that's ultimately, if she don't control that spirit, is going to lead to just outright lewdness, man. She called you another man's name, right? Your name is John. She called you Chris, right? Oh, Salakia, I don't want, right? She you know, you land up with your woman, and she call you by another name. She call you Chris on one day, then she call you Rel on another day, man. I just can't let him go. What do you want me to do about it? He's just part of me, right? Well, look, she needs to fast and get rid of it. That's actually a demon, right? And you know, that's a heavy demon, man. You know, I saw this thing today. It was this I don't know what it was from, but this guy, he bought his woman a marriage ring, right? I think that was his fiance or so. And she told him outright. He was sitting on the couch. She was kind of laying down, and she was like, I still have feelings. I can't remember the dude name. I'll use Rel for an example. I still have feelings for Rel. He bought her a marriage ring, right? Now I don't remember how the whole thing go. Don't ask me, but she said I still pretty much have feelings for Rel, man. Right? We have a thing. And the Jake was kind of upfront. Jake was like, hey, well, look, you know, it is what it is, man. He was he was like, that's hurtful. But she was kind of stone cold about it. She was like, it is what it is. He's like, look, I want my ring back. She said, no, you're not getting this ring back. So Jake was like, all right, well, look, every time you look at this ring, I want you to it's going to remind you of something you missed out on, man. So a lot, you know, you got to kind of prove a friend when it comes to this thing, man. Right? You marry a woman and she's still holding on to her old dude, man. Got his clothes. She still wear his sweaters, his hoodies, drawers.
Lingo.
Yeah, still got all his slang, his lingo. You remind me of Rel. Rel would always do that. Right? That's the spirit, man. Right? That's the spirit. Let me get this precept real quick. That's the spirit. She said, Rel always used to do that. Right? You're acting just like Rel. Hey, that's going to put a spirit on that brother too, man. Right? You got it right. Let me get this precept. Let me find this. See what I want.
Con. And it's the book of Job, chapter 31, right? And verse number, I'm going to start at 26. It says, if I beheld the sun when it shine, or the moon walking in brightness. This is talking about a man that's allured away through idolatry. And the Most High is our husband, Baal Shem Yahushua. So if we're looking up at the sun, the moon, and we're starting to get shy, we're blushing, we're getting enticed. We're looking at this star when they gave it a nickname, when it came out. We start to get enticed by the things that are in the earth that make it idolatry. It says, and my heart have been secretly enticed. So your woman, she may be secretly enticed about a lot of things. A lot of people have fetishes. A lot of men have fetishes. Women got secret spirits with secret fetishes. It says, my heart have been secretly enticed, or my mouth hath kissed my hand. This also were an iniquity. to be punished by the judge. So everything that you physically see doesn't mean it's a sin. It could be a sin within your members, your mind, your spirit. You're secretly enticed, secret sins. These are the things where it says it is an iniquity to be punished by the judges. For I should have denied the God that is above. So you can deny the Lord. You don't have to deny the Lord all dramatically. They take you before a guillotine. They're about to chop off your head. Do you denounce Yahweh? And then you say yes. And then they chop your head off anyways. It's not always what that's talking about. You could deny the Lord and you're spared by your actions of what you bring forth, right? Let me read that last part again. It says, and my heart have been secretly enticed. So you have to watch out for these spirits that are everywhere. That's why your heart proceedeth evil thoughts. And before it even commits adultery or even goes down that road, that's why when a woman commits adultery, she's already a whore. She's been a whore. Her mind was made up. Her understanding was already fixed. She already gave her mind to Satan. I mean, for a brother to sit there and reason and have a conversation after she's already committing adultery is a fool. You got it.
Yeah, you're a damn fool, right? Now somebody said on the comment board, just trying to check this out. They say the brother said that's because when she laid with the previous Jake, in reference to that scene that I saw, he laid a spiritual imprint on her. See that? He laid a spiritual imprint on her, man. Let your woman tell you, oh yeah, he laid a spiritual imprint on me, right? Now, another sister said he was getting fitted for his wedding suit while she met up with the man she had feelings for, kissing on him and stuff, right? You see that? So they must have saw a little bit more, right? I only saw maybe like a 30-second clip or so. Getting fitted for your wedding suit. You know what's in his brother's mind, man? I got the woman of my dreams. This is the big day, right? Ma, I hope you're looking down on me. You'll be proud, right? Grandma, I hope you're smiling at me. Little old Earl is getting married, right? I don't know if his name was Earl or not, right? But she met up with the man. He's getting fitted for his wedding, his wedding suit, man. You know, kissing on him and stuff. Let me go to Sirach chapter 41. Right? That's madness, man. The day you getting married. See, and they do that in this world, man. Bachelorette parties. Right? Bachelor parties. Yeah, I'm gonna let my woman put 10 grand on my woman bachelorette party. Right? You paid $10,000 for your woman to have a bachelorette party. His brother asked me, what's she gonna be doing? Man, she just with the girls. They said they just getting a few drinks.
All right, playing cards.
Yeah, right. So let me get to Sirach chapter 41. Right? I'm right. So this is Ecclesiasticus chapter 41 and verse 20. It reads, now these are things that men should be ashamed of, right? There are things that you should be ashamed of as a man, right? Just like a woman, you should be shamefaced in particular situations. And a man, you should also be shamefaced in particular situations. Now, Ecclesiasticus chapter 41, when you read verse 17 on down, it gives you a good list of things that men should be shamefaced about, right? Now, this is Sirach chapter 41 and verse 20. I'm going to start at 20. And of silence before them that salute thee, and to look upon the harlot. So you should be ashamed if a brother salutes you and you ignore him. Or you should be ashamed if you look at a harlot, right? Because if you look at a harlot, 9 times out of 10, you're going to end up getting enticed. The Lord said, when lust hath conceived, it bringeth forth sin, and sin, when it is finished, bringeth forth death. So it's going to plant a seed in your mind and give lust. Essentially, when you read that verse in James, the 1st chapter, it's the mother of sin, because lust is conceives and it brings forth like a woman brings forth the child, man. So the moment you entertain lust, it ain't waiting no 9 months, man, till sin come out. Lust got a quick, what they call a gestation period, man. Right? 1 second is giving birth to sin, and you going off, man. Right? So you can't look upon the harlot. Read on. Verse 21. Here's what I want. And to turn away thy face from thy kinsman. You should be ashamed when your brother reach out, or your family, and you turn your face away from them. Or to take away a portion or a gift, or to gaze upon another man's wife. And that works both ways, man. No what man should be gazing at your wife, right? Trying to catch eye contact with her, hoping that she look at you, right? Y'all do that little glance. A glance means a lot, man. And a woman, she got emotional attachments. She keeps staring at this brother across the room, right? I was looking at the unleavened bread, right? But you catch her staring at the dude, man. He walked in. Her mouth dropped. Wow, right? Wow. Now, if a woman is getting caught staring at another man, that's a spirit. You got to mark that, man. Yeah, I'm courting this sister, but I kind of saw her staring at this man, right? Every time he come around, she's staring at him. Want to make eye contact. Want to help him kind of fix his plate. I'll help you. Right? Doing the most for him, right? So you got to be careful for that emotional attachment spirit. Right? His name is still in her phone with all of the emojis on it. You know, whatever, got the nickname and the damn heart emoji with the heart faces and the other emojis, man. Talking about that's just my friend. It's my cousin. So when you're dealing with a sister, she got these playing these games. You gotta mark that, man. Right? You gotta mark particular individuals, man, that cause offenses. Right? The word mark meaning to take note. Let me get this one more real quick. This Romans. Right? It's in the same spirit. Right? Romans chapter 16 and verse. That's what they call red flags. Right? The world calls them red flags. The Bible calls it marking them. It reads Romans 16 and 17. Now I beseech you, brethren, mark them which cause divisions and offenses contrary to the doctrine which you have learned, and avoid them. Huh? So you got to mark people that cause divisions in marriages. Mark people that cause things that do things contrary to the scriptures. You got to mark a woman. You might be proving that I still have my emotional attachment. That's not something you just shrug off, man. Right? You got to kind of, hey, if that's something that she said, and she may say, look, I need help with it, whatever. That may be a sincere thing, man. You may deal with it accordingly, but if it's something that's kind of being hid and it's in secret and she's hiding and doing God knows what, then you want to kind of mark that. Now, is that actually adultery at that time? And your mind or her spirit, but she hasn't laid down with him yet. But she caught kissing and doing God knows what. Hey, that's fornication, man. You got it, King.
And to another point on top of that, is if like when people get caught kissing and all of that is done in secret, and they don't have enough time to fulfill the lust of adultery.
Right.
So I mean, you got to really look at that too. That your woman can't just be caught kissing somebody, and that's all she did. Well, brother, you got off of work at 4 o'clock, man. If you would have got off of work at 7 o'clock, she would have committed adultery.
Right.
And I mean, you can't be simple-minded, right? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 9, and I'm gonna start at verse 14. It said, "For she sitteth at the door of her house, on a seat in the high place of the city." Right? On one fold, it's talking about America, but on another fold, it's talking about a strange whore. Right? It says, "For she sitteth at the door of her house, on a seat in the high place of the city." Right now, on a deeper level, that seat is a throne, and the high place of the city has Babylon. You got principalities and different things, but on a physical level, you got whores. They're on the corner of this street, they're on the corner of that street. They're just standing at the doors of the city to call passengers who go right on their ways, meaning simple-minded men that don't know what's going on. Hey, a woman will catch you, man. She'll catch you with lingo, flirting, texting you. Well, you got to watch out for a lot of these sisters that want to be in multiple marriages sometimes because nobody else wants them, and they're literally in adultery. They're just hunting for the precious life. They just want a husband. They're just desperate, just clawing at every door. It says, "Whoso is simple, let him turn in hither. And as for him, he wanted understanding. She saith to him, stolen waters are sweet." And that's the spirit of seduction. I could give you this. I could give you that. But what is she not doing for you? Oh, I can do this. Right? It's a song, a Joe, all the things your man won't do, or something like that.
That's it.
All your all your
All the
man won't
things a
do.
man won't do.
That's all. Right? You sitting up there listing a bunch of stuff, making it sound sweet, like the grass green on the other side. And that's how Satan work on you. He'll try to give
Right.
you everything you're not getting at the moment and try to make it seem like it's like an angel of glory, like it's saying in 2 Corinthians. Right? It says stolen waters are sweet, and bread eaten in secret places is pleasant. Why would you want to eat in secret places? Don't when you eat, you sit down at a dinner table with your family, you break bread. Why are you eating in secret places? That's the spirit of an adulterous woman on an adultery. It's all in secret, it's hidden. It says, but he knoweth not that the dead are there, and all Salakia, and that her guests are in the depths of hell. I mean, he don't even know he's eating at a round table where she has caught other men at, man, which is actually a pit in a grave where he's dwelling amongst. You got it.
That's right. That's right. And that's the spirit you want to, like I said, that all comes with marriage. The spirit can happen on anybody, right? A spirit of adultery can happen on anybody, man. Right? It hopped on David, it hopped on Bathsheba, right? It hopped on it hopped on plenty of people, man. And you want to do your diligence to fight that spirit, man. That spirit can hop on any one of us, man. Right? We're not immortal. We don't have spiritual bodies. But Slaka, you want to, it really comes with the grace and mercy of Yahweh Shai not to give you over to that spirit, but carnally speaking in his flesh, it's about fearing the Most High, man. It's about fearing Yahweh Shai. It's about loving your brother as you would love yourself, man. Right? Because I wouldn't want to, the Lord said, you can't even say gaze not at another man's wife, man. That's scripture. It says sit not at all with another man's wife, right? In Ecclesiasticus, the 9th chapter. Right? A lot of brothers, they let your woman hang out with a bunch of men, man. That's just my boys. That's the homeboys. Right? That's bro. She call them bro. They got secret handshakes, inside jokes. Right? And all types of, this is not brown sugar, man. For brothers that seen the movie. Damn, Sanaa Lathan and not Omar Epps, Tay Diggs, man. Let me get this. This is Ecclesiasticus the 9th chapter, real quick. Those emotional attachments also come from the liberty that a brother may give his woman, man. Yeah, brother, she got an emotional attachment because you keep dropping off you keep letting him letting his brother give your woman a ride home after camp, man. You want to stay 2 hours and do a little bit more work, and you keep telling this brother drop your woman off. Yeah, I'll just drop her off at home. You know what it is. You stayed an hour and a half away, right? Oh, I had to get gas. Brother hit you back 4 hours. I had to get gas. I had to. She wanted to get something to eat. What she want me to do? Nothing. I'm glad. What'd you get it? What you get it? I know you ain't get a so and so. Yeah, I got a deep dish, right? And you telling your brother, you just being simple, man. You're just being simple. Right? Telling your brother, break these scriptures down to your woman. Can you teach my woman? A brother asked, I said, brother, you teach your woman, man. I'll show you, brother, maybe we can explain it to you and you can break it down to your woman, man. Right? This is not that kind of this is the truth, man. We're not in the world, this is not college. This is not of the world frat parties and high school, man. We're supposed to be men and women of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. There are supposed to be boundaries. There's supposed to be order. There's supposed to be structure. There's supposed to be reverence. There's supposed to be love amongst us as a nation, man. And when those boundaries and those lines get crossed because people want to intertwine worldly emotions and feelings, then you'll have situations like that, man. Your woman is always around this brother, man. Like I said, you allow him to give her a ride home every week. So it's only a matter of time, brother. Well, I trust my woman. Okay. Right? Now, ain't nothing wrong with trusting in your woman, right? Through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shemel Shah, of course, right? Believing that she's not going to go off. But brother, you being simple. Right? You're being simple. I'll put it like that. right? And let me get this real quick. I had another precept in my mind, man. Ecclesiastes, the 9th chapter. Right? You don't want to be simple. Well, what's simple? Like, what's wrong with that? Right? This Ecclesiasticus chapter 9 and verse 8. Turn away thine eye from a beautiful woman, and look not upon another's beauty. For many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman, for herewith love is kindled as a fire. See that? So you keep looking at this brother's wife, you're going, what they say in the world, you're going to catch feelings, man. Now you're thinking about her. Then, Jake, you start plotting. Right? You start being a demon, man. Reading on. Sit not at all with another man's wife. So don't allow your woman to sit with another man. Right? All of the men doing their thing, and your woman, you catch them at the feast day, they're always in the corner. They both got a cup of wine, just cackling and laughing, man. What y'all talking about? And she do this, nothing. And he go and dip off, man. Then you catch him 20 minutes later doing the same thing. Man, brother, you crazy, brother. Or man, you are something else. Yeah, he like, yeah, King, yeah. All right, shalom. And he's still talking to your woman. That's my brother right there. And you go leave, man. Your simplicity. Right? Reading on. Hey, man, guess what? Not to be long-winded. But no man should be spending time with your woman, man. Right? It's really no excuse. Oh, but they've been knowing each other since they was 10. They're best friends. Now you could disregard the counsel. You could say, well, Naquam, I don't agree with that. You know, I'm gonna do what I want to do. I trust my woman. Y'all, you could do that. Go ahead, because you'll be violating Sirach the 9th chapter. These ain't this the word of the Most High. I trust my woman. Y'all insecure. Okay, well, brother, let you violate Sirach chapter 9 and let your woman sit with another man. Right? It says, nor sit. Why would this be in the Bible? It says, nor sit down with her in thine arms. That's that with my hug at spirit. Your woman hugging all of the men of the Lord, man. It's 40 men in the camp. She gave a hug to every one of them. And sit and spend not thy money with her at the wine. Right? You buying her drinks. I bought your woman a bottle up. Is it okay if we take a shot together? Right? Lest thine heart incline unto her. I'm going to read that again. That's that emotional attachments. The Lord tells you how to not get those emotional attachments. Least thine heart incline unto her, and so through thy desire thou fall into destruction. So the Lord gives you the boundaries. He established that, man. And if you cross those boundaries out of your own lust and pride, you're going to have those attachments. And those attachments are going to lead to that kissing, that adultery, and that lewdness, man. You got it, King.
Yeah, and it's also going to lead to like lewd dreams and lewd desires and thoughts and daydreams and visions. You're just snapping off. You're just at work, right? You're supposed to be on the machinery, right? You almost hit somebody, right? Or hell done broke loose because your mind isn't on the scriptures, man. Right? When you go to Ezekiel chapter 16 and verse, I'm going to start at 32. It says, but as a wife that committeth adultery, which taketh strangers instead of her husband, they give gifts to all whores. And that's even in the Bible. So you got your modern day sugar daddies, your modern day what do they call him? He my Tuesday nails, my Wednesday car appointment to get freshened up. So he's my Tuesday get my hair then Friday get my hair done spirit, man. Just getting gifts through her whoredom. She's pimping out her body. She's pimping out what the Lord gave her for her husband and using literally a possession. A possession isn't a Starburst, man, and a Twix bar. Possession is, people put possessions as gold, silver, diamonds, right? All type of chief minerals and stones. And people lock these different things up in the vault, man. Right? Your so-called possession isn't just paper money. You have people that have safe deposit boxes, and nobody knows these numbers, these codes, but them and them only, because that's their possession that was passed down from generation to generation of so-called wealth. How much more your wife? Your wife's your possession. How you treat your wife shows a lot about it. If a woman says, well, he's insecure, well, a man says, well, I don't want to be insecure, you were a fool. I don't know any man of the Lord that would just let a possession just be all out in the open when nothing's in the world but vultures, spirits, demons. And the last time I read the scriptures, the Lord said a husband is a hedge. And what does a hedge do? There's no breaches in a hedge. You don't just have this part of the hedge open, that part of the hedge closed, that part of that. This isn't a maze at Oprah's flower garden, right? If you're a hedge, you got to protect your woman in all forces, in all ways, and all around, man. It says they give gift to all whores, but thou givest thy gifts to all thy lovers. Each one of the lovers gets something, and hirest them that they may come unto thee on every side for thy whoredom. And that's not always talking about, somebody on the side of the road. You could get hired, like I said, for what you may give that woman or what you may give that man. And you're getting allured away through carnal things that they possess and they have, right? Let me go to the book. Well, let me read on from there. It says, and the contrary is in the form of another woman in thy whoredoms, whereas none followeth thee to commit whoredoms, and in that thou givest a reward, and no reward is given unto thee, therefore thou art contrary. So you don't want to be contrary unto the commandments and the Most High through your whoredom. You know what essentially happened to the land in Hosea, man, the 4th chapter? The Lord gave all of those women, right? Well, he overthrew the men and gave all of those women up for lewdness. So the Lord could put a spirit on anybody at any given time. That's why it's very important to be in these scriptures. Can't just say, well, I love my wife, she'll never do that. I love my husband, he'll never do that. Hey, anybody could fall victim at any given time to any spirit. It's the book of Hosea, chapter 4 and 14. I will not punish your daughters when they commit whoredom, nor your spouses when they commit adultery, for they themselves are separated with whores, and they sacrifice harlots. Therefore, the people that doeth not understand shall fall. So if you don't understand these precepts, you don't understand these statutes and judgments, you're going to fall. You can't just look at the first 5 books. You don't want to just look, if it doesn't come out of Moses' mouth, I'm not going to abide and hear into it. If you're not applying all of these statutes and precepts and these judgments, then you're going to fall.
That's right. That's right. So there you have it, brother. Right. So this next question. Okay, from my young Lob, right? What about a man who is in the truth, sleeping with other women who most likely not in the truth? Do the wife have the right to know, or is that righteous? Well, that's not righteous, man. Right? If I got this right, you got a man. Basically, the brother's married, right? And the wife don't know what's going on, and he just sleeping with worldly women, right? Just popping them, doing God knows what, right? And then the wife don't know what's going on, right? That's off. All right, that's off. Now, I want to read 1 Corinthians chapter 14 and 40. Right, let me get this precept. It reads, let all things be done decently and in order. Right? Like we brought out earlier, it's not a sin to have another wife, but everything should be done in order. If you sneaking around doing God knows what, that's off, man. Right? Rhonda, Keisha, Tammy, Tamika, right? Luann, all of these women that you're dealing with, and your women don't even know, and they in the world, that's off, brother. That's called whoredom. Right? Let's go to Ecclesiasticus, the 23rd chapter. That's called whoredom, straight up. Now, if a brother, I'll put it like this: if a brother is married and he wants peace in his household, then he's going to do things in order, right? And his wife would know about it, All right. That's if the brother wants to move it. That's the wisest way. And I speak as a man to go about it, man. Right. If you are pursuing a woman or courting or whatever, it's wise for your woman to know. Right. Otherwise, you're going to bring strife, contention, and confusion because you're doing something and you and your wife are one flesh. She doesn't know. So a spirit is going to rest upon that house. Right. Now, if the brother went to his woman and said, X, I'm not going to give you a whole spiel, but long story short, they came to the conclusion and they both agreed that, or even if she didn't agree, and he said this is what it is, and she said okay, whatever, and he decided to deal with another wife, at least he went about it, or got another wife, he went about it in order. You understand? And he went about it in wisdom and through counsel, and he proved that, sister, and it was done in order. And his wife may not have necessarily liked it. You get what I'm saying? But he went about it in order. Right? Wife is not going to agree all the time to her husband getting getting a second wife. Right? That's the reality of us in the flesh. Right? We get it. But if a brother is just going around just popping and doing God knows what to like I said, Rhonda, Keisha, Tammy, Tamika, Luann, Cindy, Sierra, and he come back from work, man. Tomorrow, I was in the meeting, right? Man, it was crazy at work today. You won't even believe it, right? Well, now that brother's in the spirit of hoarding. All right, so let me get this real quick. This Ecclesiasticus, the 23rd chapter. All right, and I'm gonna get straight to the point in verse 17. I'm gonna start at 16. Two sorts of men multiply sin, and the third will bring wrath. A hot mind is as a burning fire. It will never be quenched till it be consumed. A fornicator in the body of his flesh will never cease till you have kindled a fire. What's that burning, man? So that's that, brother. That's fornication. When you're laying down with these women, you're not making them your wives. You just freaking off, how we say. Right? Let me read one more. A man that breaketh wedlock, saying thus in his heart, who seeth me? I am compassed about with darkness. The walls cover me, and nobody seeth me. What need I to fear? The Most High will not remember my sins. And that's off, man, to say that nobody's watching you. The Most High is always watching. The angels are always watching. You don't get away with nothing. Good or your good works, they don't just be unnoticed. The Most High is not forgetful he is not unrighteous to forget your works, paraphrasing greatly Hebrews 6:10. So he sees your righteous works and he sees your wicked works, man. Those links you clicking, how long you scrolling, you just staring, right? You're freaking off. The Most High sees that, man. You ducking off. You in this brother's wife inbox. You know she married someone Shalom. Then her to go and delete it, right? Because you know it was off, brother. Then she screenshotted it, right? Now you caught up there moving in your lust, brother. So if you laying down with Keisha, Tammy, Tamika, Rhonda, Luann, Sierra, Cindy, right? Then ultimately the Most High is going to get up with you, man. Because you make a whores out of your woman. You know? You got it, King.
Come. And it's Sirach, chapter 16, and verse number 17. It says, say not thou, I will hide myself from the Lord. Shall any remember me from above? I shall not be remembered among so many people. For what is my soul among such an infinite number of creatures? And that's what a lot of Jakes start to think. The Lord isn't just watching you on the feast days, right? You come up, you got your garment on, and you appear before the Lord. And the Lord's watching you all the time. Every time you open your eyes, shut your eyes, breathe, you're on the earth, right? Whether you're at work, whatever's going on, the Lord is there, and the holy angels jotting down what you're doing. It says, behold, the heaven and the heaven of heavens, the deep and the earth and all that therein is, shall be moved when he shall visit. So the Lord's always watching you. The mountains also and foundations of the earth should be shaken with trembling when the Lord looketh upon them. No heart can think upon these things worthily, and who is able to conceive his ways? It is a tempest which no man can see, for the most parts of his works are hid. So it's just going into the Lord that he's omnipotent, he's perfect. His reign and what he does in his eyes, they're everywhere. Now, as far as with your wife, this is Hebrews 13 and 16. It says to do good and to communicate, forget not. So you want to have good communication within your household with your wife. No, you don't have to tell her, but like the brother was saying, that may bring spirits on your wife. There's just some strange woman with 2 suitcases at your door, right? And and she's saying Shalom as she coming in. You trying to figure out, is this a cousin? Is this a sister I didn't know about? Is she coming to fix, the dryer, or what's going on? Why is this strange woman coming in with 2 suitcases? And then you say, I'm gonna break it down later. And then y'all both go into the room. That's us gonna put spirits on her. It says, but to do good and to communicate, forget not, for with such sacrifices, Yahweh is well pleased. So you have a such thing as sacrifice of your lips. So you want to make sure that what you do and you being in order is well communicated, especially when it has to do with the commandments. It's not talking about do you want chicken or do you want beef, and the communication is there. It means under the ordinances of the Bible and the laws, you have to communicate one another, whether it be a priest in the tabernacle, whether it be a husband with a wife, whether it be the church, whatever the case may be. That's a sacrifice that you give in being on one accord and communicating. You got it.
Kind of. No, that's all I got on that. That's right. All right. So let's move on. Okay. Next question. Again, this is a sticky marriage situation. More so predicated in the style of a Q&A. If brothers had questions or sisters, feel free to ask in righteousness, and we'll try to put these out there and kind of deal with it. Okay, from fire. About dealing with the concubine, I'm not being into fornication or adultery. How would you be with the concubine if you do not commit fornication? Well, let's just deal with it. So for those that may not know, or I may get out the Bible dictionary, a concubine is still a wife. It's just a lesser wife. All right. They may not have the same societal status as your wife, right? They may not have the same privileges, for lack of better terms, relationships, right? Interactions as your wife. A concubine was more so a lesser wife used for procreation, for pleasure, for children, maybe to kind of get things done in the house. That was more so the purpose of a concubine. Now, let me go to this precept real quick in 2 Samuel. Because a brother, I'm not saying this brother's saying this, but a brother, they'll just be dealing with all these women, say they're just my concubines. Right? They are my concubines. I got a harem. Then Solomon had, a few concubines. Then he had 700 wives, man. Right? And 300 concubines. So let me get this precept in 2 Samuel. All right, this 2 Samuel chapter 5 and verse 13. It reads, and David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem after he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. You see that? So David increased in greatness, stature, power of rulership, and David had more wives. Remember, David had Abigail, right? When you read 1 Samuel 25, and David had another wife, the Jezreelites is paraphrasing, right? David had 2 main wives, but then he had other wives and more concubines. Now, these concubines that David had, David not only dealt with these wives in righteousness until they went off, that you read about in with Absalom, but nevertheless, these were his lesser wives. So it's not fornication if you have a concubine. All right, fornication is when you have sex with the woman and you don't make that woman your wife. You just deal with that woman for pleasure or for lust, right? Just for freaking off and doing God knows what. right? But you got it, King.
Con. And this is the book of 2 Samuel, chapter 20, and verse number 3. And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took the 10 women, his concubines, who he had left to keep the house, and put them inward and fed them, but went not into them. So were they shut up until the day of their death, living in widowhood. So the spirit that David treated his concubines with was a different spirit that he treated his wives with. And that's evidently seen when you read 2 Samuel, the 20th chapter. You know how he dealt with them. You know, you're supposed to go into your wives, but all he did was just feed them, just have them to tend to the house. So, I mean, it's a different spirit. That don't mean you just beat on them and do, lewdness to them. But nevertheless, like the brother was going into, it's just a lesser wife. When you read Genesis, let me get this quick precept. Genesis chapter 16 and verse number 6. It says, But Abram said unto Sarah, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. Now we know that there's no chief wife over another wife. You got two wives, they're both your wives, but you put one in charge and one has the preeminence. No, one is a wife, and you have an other one, which is a concubine, which is clearly seen. One has the preeminence and is over the other one. It says, Behold, thy maid is in thy hand. Do to her as it pleaseth thee. And when Sarah dealt hardly with her, she fled from her face. Right? So, I mean, Sarah may have told her to cook, clean, whatever the case may be. Abraham had delivered the maid, right, which is now his wife, into her hand. So it just goes to show you that a righteous man like Abram, under the laws and statutes of the Lord, clearly states and shows that his wife is higher, than a concubine would be. But nevertheless, he still took care of the concubine. You got it.
Yeah, and I just want to read this out of the Zondervan Compact Bible Dictionary, right? This is page 116. At the top left corner, concubine. If you have a Bible dictionary, you can look it up on your own. Right? It says concubine right there. Now, here's the definition of concubine: a woman lawfully united in marriage. Let me read that again. A woman lawfully united in marriage to a man in relation inferior to that of the regular wife. Here's the scriptures they pulled: Genesis 16:1, Genesis 22:24, Judges chapter 8 and 31, 2 Samuel chapter 3 and 7, 2 Samuel chapter 5 and 13. The law of Moses allowed it. Exodus chapter 21, 7 through 11, Deuteronomy chapter 21, 10 through 14. A number of prominent Old Testament figures had concubines. Let me read that again. A number of prominent Old Testament figures had concubines. Abraham, Genesis chapter 25 and 6. Jacob, Genesis chapter 35 and 22. Gideon, Judges chapter 8 and 31. David, 2 Samuel 5 and 13. Solomon, 1 Kings 11 and 3. Rehoboam, 2 Chronicles chapter 11 and 21. Right? So it's not wicked. It's just, Jake. Let me read this precept. I don't even want to say that. Let me get this in this precept first and foremost. I want to get one of those scriptures they pulled, right, in Deuteronomy chapter 21 to show you that. All right. Deuteronomy chapter 21 and verse. And Jake kind of do that now, but they do it in wickedness, man. Right? This my woman did this. They call it your side. This my side piece, man. Oh, she know her role. Right? Oh, she know her role. That's wickedness. But Jake got that spirit when you're going off, man. Right? Now, that's that worldly spirit. But yeah, she know when to hit my phone, right? Before 9 and after 6. Right? But she don't hit my phone between 9 and 5. She know how to play this game. That's evil. Right? You got your side piece, then you got your woman. Right? You got some relationships in the world, the women know about the side piece. Or as long as she don't come between me and our kids, she's not seeing the kids. So that's that everybody be doing stuff according to the world, man, and not according to scripture. Jake, you have all these baby mothers. Now, if this was in righteousness, these would be all your wives, man. I got a baby mother uptown, got a baby mother on the east side, got a baby mother on the west, right? In righteousness, that word baby mother or baby mama, or I'd say in Baltimore, your baby father, right? That would be all of your righteous wives, and those would be all of your children. Then your baby mama fighting your other baby mama. You got it's madness, chick. Your whole thing is bad. Your whole relationship is not according to the Most High, man. You know that's why you're paying $700 to each of your baby mothers, man, for child support. Because this thing, you're first of all, you're in a corrupt system, but second of all, you're doing things out of order, right? Now I'm gonna just read this quick precept. Deuteronomy chapter 21:10. When thou goest forth to war against thine enemies, and the Lord thy God hath delivered them into thine hand, and thou hast taken them captive, and seest among the captives a beautiful woman, and hast a desire unto her, that thou wouldest have her to thy wife. Then thou shalt bring her home to thine house, and she shall shave her head and pare her nails, and she shall put the raiment of her captivity from off her, and shall remain in thine house, and bewail her father and her mother a full month. And after that, thou shalt go in unto her and be her husband, and she shall be thy wife. Right? So that's your concubine. And it shall be if thou have no delight in her, then thou shalt let her go whither she will. See, you can't do that just to your regular wife. Now you can divorce your wife, but this one, just let her go whither she will, but thou shalt not sell her at all with money. Thou shalt not make merchandise of her, because thou hast humbled her. Why would the Most High say you can't sell her or make merchandise? Because this is a concubine. That's not even a thought for your wife, and that you would get in decency and order. But there are certain things that you can't do to a concubine. You can't take advantage of them, right? You can't oppress them. You can't take a concubine and then sell them to a strange nation. You have to make sure this is done in order, because you laid down with her and you humbled her as your wife, right? You got it, King.
We can go to the next one.
Okay, Con. All right. So let's move on. OG Twain. What's the difference between a concubine and a harlot? You got it, King.
All right, Con. All right, let's go to the mighty book of Genesis. All right, I want to get this quick piece up. All right, so you bear with me. It's the book of Genesis, right? Chapter 34, and I'm going to start at verse 25. It says, and it came to pass on the third day, when they were sore, that two of the sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, being his brothers, took each man his sword, and came upon the city boldly, and slew all the males, right? Because you had this man, right? You had Dinah, which was, taken advantage by Shechem. It says, and they slew Hamor and Shechem, his son, with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house, and went out. And the sons of Jacob came upon the slain and despoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep, their oxen, their asses, which were in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and all their wives they took captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. Right? This is the point. And Jacob said unto Simeon and Levi, ye have troubled me to make me to stink among the inhabitants of the land, among the Canaanites, the Perizzites, and I am like it being few in number, they shall gather themselves together against me and slay me, and I shall be destroyed, I and my house. So Jacob is like, what are you doing, man? You're slaying everybody, you're creating enemies, you're not moving in order. But this is what they said. And they said, should he deal with our sister as with an harlot? Because first of all, we're not supposed to marry the other nations. First of all, he didn't go about it with a dowry. He didn't contact Jacob. He didn't do the ordinances of the ancient world of a marriage. He was dealing with her like an harlot. So you have a marriage that you would deal with in order with a dowry. You have a way about getting a concubine through the spoils of war. The way he went about it as a nigga, as a thief. He just snatched her up. He said, well, damn, is we just going to let him off the hook and deal with her? Not that Dana wasn't harlot, but he was dealing with her as if you would deal with a harlot. What do you do with a harlot? You meet her at the, you snatch her up, you take her to the house, you go into her, and that's the end all be all. You don't contact her father, nobody met you, you don't know what's going on. You're just that brother, that 704 number, that emoji. Nobody knows who you are. It says, and they said, should he deal with our sister as with an harlot? So I mean, when you go about a harlot, you just pick up, you defile, you go into her. There's no ordinances behind it. Nothing's done in order. So the way he went about it, when you read this chapter, he didn't deal with it in order. He dealt with her as if he would deal with a harlot. But like I said, with a concubine, you have a certain way you would obtain a concubine and keep them unto the law. But there's no ordinances how to take care of an harlot because you're not supposed to be going into harlots in the first place. So you have statutes and ordinances and laws on concubines and wives, but not harlots. Now, what is a harlot? Right? And get this precept too, because I mean, you don't want to be a fool, right? This is the book of Proverbs, and every man can identify a harlot, right? This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 7, and verse 7. And I beheld among the simple ones, I discerned among the youths a man void of understanding, passing through her streets near her corner, and he went the way to her house. Now, from here, I want to jump down to verse number 21. With her much fair speech, she caused him to yield, meaning with her flirting, her bat in her eyes, her high heels, things that allured this man with her much fair speech. My husband is gone, or what you up to, what you trying to do, or that texting and that flirting and that sexting and all of those wicked spirits that she's putting on you to cause you to just go into it, because that's all she wants. It says, and caused him to yield with the flattering of her lips, she forced him. It says, he goeth after her straightway as an ox goeth to the slaughter, and as a fool to the correction to the stocks, till a dart strike through his liver, as a bird hasteth to the snare, and knoweth not that it is for his life. So a harlot is going to take your life. A harlot is going to take your spirit and cause you, right, to put down the laws and commandments and yield just straight after your lust and flesh. But you got it.
And I just want to get one precept on that too, right? Let me go back to Sirach the 9th chapter. That's right, man. Right? So in the ancient world, a father could actually sell his daughter as a concubine to another man. We read that we actually quoted it in Exodus 21:7 on down. But a man can't prostitute his daughter to become a whore. So you can't give out your daughter as a harlot. A harlot is somebody, again, who has zero sexual morality. A woman who just, like the brother said, who just has sex either for money or just for pleasure or for just God knows what, right? For profit, right? This is the Lord told Hosea to go into a harlot, and he had to pay her, man. Now, I had a precept. Oh, I was going back to Sirach 9. Let me get this real quick. Ecclesiasticus 9 and 2. Meet not with an harlot, lest thou fall into her snares. So harlots, they have no type of integrity. See, a virtuous woman, they're looking to be a pillar of rest. They're looking to reverence their husband. They're looking to bear children, magnify their husband's household, and do all manner of righteous works. But a harlot, they got their mind. They thinking about what they say, the bad, man. The come up, and all types of evil, man. They looking at you, what kind of clothes you got on. You got jewelry on, right? What kind of car you drive. They do YouTube social
Gold
experiments.
digger.
Yeah, the gold digger experiments, man. You got this guy, he'll get up and he'll try to say, shalom to this. He's not saying shalom, but he might say something to this woman. She might flag him off. She might ignore him. Then this guy, he'll get in his damn, Ferrari or something, man. And then she turned around and, is this your car? Right? Where we going? Then she get in the car, buckle the seat. Where we going? Then he say, well, why you getting the car now? And he give like this big breakdown, man.
Right.
Then he kick out the car, man. Right? Then he say, you're a gold. Then they call her a gold digger at the end. We've seen the clips, man. Then these women, they get out and you got guys that do that, man. They're just looking for a good time, not a long time. So whoever's driving that Ferrari or that Benz, they're on it, man. You got these women that they sneak into these NBA hotels where the athletes be. Oh, I heard LeBron James gonna be in town. Come on, girl. Right? Get your girls up. Get yourself together. Put your makeup on, girl. We're gonna get the bag. We're gonna get LeBron. Right? Oh, I heard Steph Curry gonna be in town. They playing the Wizards. He gonna be in DC. Maybe we wait outside. That's a harlot right there. So there's big differences between a harlot and a virtuous woman. Because a harlot, according to Sirach chapter 9 and 3, it says, meet not with an harlot, lest thou fall into her snares. So they have traps. They play games. They might want your money. They might want to move in your house and eat up all your food. Let me jump down. Verse 4. Use not the company of a woman, use not much the company of a woman that is a singer, lest thou be taken with her attempts. Gaze not on a maid, that thou fall not by those things that are precious in her. Here's the point. Give not thy soul unto harlots, that thou lose not thine inheritance. So you spending money. Like Judah, right? He saw the harlot. And he said, go to, let me come in unto thee. Paraphrasing. She said, what wilt thou give me? Right? And he gave her a damn ass, man, or a cattle or a sheep or something. So you don't want to sit there and those women that be at what they call the red light district with the mink coats on, smoking a cigarette, right? And it's always like 8 of them. Then they walk up to the window. You want some of this? You want some of this, young man? Some old woman. You want some of this, young man? She's 60, man. Right? And you gotta just peel off, man. So that's what a harlot is, right? It's the difference between a harlot and a concubine. You got something else on that, King? Okay, Con, let's move on. Okay. From Odetta Price. Shalom, brothers. Would you all say it is righteous to try and take another woman if a brother knows that his wife is not in agreement with this, and this was spoken on when proven? You want to get in there? Or I can get in there.
Yeah, I get in there real fast.
Okay.
And that's a good question.
Yeah.
Right. That's a very, very good question.
And that when proven is a good thing too. That's a good point on that.
This is the book of Proverbs, chapter 14 and verse number 4. It says, where no oxen are, the crib is clean, but much increase is by the strength of the ox. So where no oxen are, oxen is going to bring forth, you may have a wife, you may have another wife, you may have 3 wives, right? The food's always cooked, the house is always clean, right? Things are in order, the children are bathed, they ate, they did their homework, they're studying. I mean, everything's in order while you do the work of the Lord. But you're bringing about with more strength to your house, more spirits, more problems, more situations, more counsel, more struggles, more demons that'll trouble and vex your household if it's not ran in order, or the Lord wants to overthrow it because you're not holding yourself diligent, or them just falling victim by not studying, or it's just more sheep to watch. I mean, yeah, a man can have 1,000 sheep, but you know what that's going to have to come with? A lot of shepherdry, a lot of work, a lot of feeding, a lot of guiding, a lot of protecting. It's going to be a lot by being a shepherd through a large multitude of sheep. It says, where no oxen are, the crib is clean. I mean, you may have one wife, and with one wife, it's maybe your house may be easily ran. You know, it may not be overthrown. You know, increasing more and more isn't always a good thing. It says, but much increase is by the strength of the cattle. Right? I got one more. It's the book of Proverbs, chapter 17 and 1. Better is a dry morsel and quietness therewith than a house full of sacrifices with strife. So better it is for you to have a dry morsel and there's quiet. You know, you may just have a so-called what do they call it? That bread with the syrup on it. French toast. You may only have French toast for dinner, but it's quiet in your house, man. Like you're not having a lot of up and down and all hell breaking loose and there's no strife. I'd rather come home with peace in my house and not eat abundantly than to have a whole lot of sacrifices with strife. I mean, you got a lot of oxen, a lot of bulls, a lot of this, a lot of that, but it's nothing but damn strife in your house, man. And your house is supposed to be a place of peace. I mean, you and your wife, I mean, on a physical level, you coming from work, right? The troubles of the world, you want to rest yourself, but also on a spiritual level. Your house is your dwelling place. And you and your wife are one flesh. You should want to feel like there's quietness in your house. So you don't want to overthrow yourself, but you want to weigh the balance too. Because you don't want to give your wife preeminence nor power, you know, just because she's not moving in the spirit and she's rebellious. That really comes with a high level of discernment to weigh out that matter. You got it, King.
Yeah, and I would say if the brother gave his word through the spirit, and if the brother said, "Hey, look, I won't get another wife," and that's something that y'all, if he said while y'all were proving, and then he reneged for lack of better terms, and said, "Well," then he ended up getting a wife. Then his word that would essentially be either dealing falsely, or it would be just an outright lie, right? Because if the man would have said, peradventure, yeah, I'm thinking about getting another wife. She may have, for lack of a better term, pulled out of that courtship. So the brother may have said what was pleasing at the moment to secure that wife. And then deep in his spirit, he always wanted to get another wife, but he didn't want to lose out on the first one. So he dealt deceitfully to acquire that first wife. You know, so that wouldn't be a righteous deal if it went down like that, if it played out like that. And I want to get this at Leviticus, right? Because that could happen. The brother could be courting a woman and he could have said, "Look, man, look, you the only one. Like, I ain't even thinking about no other wife, man. Look, man, we courting. You know, I'm thinking, man, you seen John the Baptist, man. I'm Paul, I like the Apostle Paul, right? And you in there, you eating it up. Oh, he like Paul. He ain't damn be the only one, right? 4 years later, here comes Rhonda, right? Like the brother said, 2 suitcases. She don't even have a Hebrew name, just Rhonda. You come in, Rhonda, and wake up in the morning, she flipping the pancakes, man. Talking about, do you want blueberry or chocolate chip, right? And he talking about, I fell short, right? Or you know what it is. You know how I get down. Then he turned to a whole different person, right? You know, and now you kind of got your head down and you eating eating in the corner, man. You know. Now this Leviticus, the 19th chapter, right? So you want to deal in righteousness and in truth, right? Leviticus 19 and 11. Ye shall not steal, neither deal falsely, neither lie one to another. So that would be in a spirit of dealing falsely, right? You tell somebody something, but deep down you plan on doing something else, and you deceive that person, right? That's deception, right? You can't be deceiving your brother according to the law, right? That would be a transgression. If it went down like that, if it was spoken on, proven, and courting, and he gave that word and said, this is what it's going to be, then that would be dealing deceitfully, right? Now, the Most High could put the spirit in that second marriage. If you got him another woman, it might be a lot of spirits in there because it wasn't done in righteousness. Now, if y'all sat down and talked and the brother said, hey, look, I think I may want another wife in the near future. And she said, Con, Lord, whatever she said. And if that brother decided to get another wife, she can't go back and say, no, it's so-and-so, it's so-and-so, and yeah, you didn't mean you. hey, he might say, hey, look, well, we talked about this. We discussed this. I told you where I stood, where my heart was, and what the plans may have been in the future. It may not have been that day, but this is on my spirit right now. We talked about this, etc. And she has to hold to it as well. So these things everything has to be done in order and according to the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushai, man. Otherwise the Most High, he'll put a spirit in it. The Lord in Judges, let me get this quick precept. The Lord put an evil spirit in men because Abimelech didn't acquire the throne in righteousness, man. It was done in deceit. He slew men. He sought the preeminence. Then the Lord put a spirit in that in his kingdom, man, and it caused strife and contention. So this is the book of Judges, chapter 9 and verse 23. I'm gonna start at 22. When Abimelech had reigned 3 years over Israel, then the Most High sent an evil spirit between Abimelech and the men of Shechem, and the men of Shechem dealt treacherously with Abimelech. So the Most High put an evil spirit on Abimelech and these men, and they started fighting. It was nothing but strife and contention because he didn't go about acquiring a kingdom in order. He did it in murder, deceit, and all types of madness. You got it, King.
And one more quick point on that. This Proverbs chapter 26 and verse 27. Whosoever diggeth a pit shall fall therein, and he that rolleth a stone, it will return upon him. A lying tongue hateth those that are afflicted by it, and a flattering mouth worketh ruin. So the Lord said, look, you dig at the pit, you're going to fall into it, man. You roll a stone, it's going to come back on you. That wicked tongue and that flattery, it's going to work at the ruin. So, I mean, that situation isn't going to stand because he's dealing with it with deceit. So the Lord's going to overthrow it. If it's not sincere, and he's going about it in the wrong spirit and manner. That's all I got on it.
All right, moving on. Shalom, the brother from Sakari says, Shalom, Shalom, King.
Shalom, King.
Kalab, right? Shalom. Okay, Aquam, son of Naquam. What is fornication? Right? We discussed that. So fornication is when you lay down with a woman, but you don't make that woman your wife, right? Or a woman, they lay down with a man, but they just peel off and they say, hey, look, that was fun or whatever, and they just dip off, man. That's that one night stand spirit, one night of lust. You fly, you got that happening in Israel, man. I'm gonna fly you out. She stay in South Carolina, you fly her out to damn, I don't know, Philly, man. Y'all get it to telly. We got the telly. Right? You save all your Wendy's money. You washed a couple cars, cut a few lawns in the summertime, took your money out your sock and bought the telly, man. Right? And then she fly out, and then you might get a bottle of wine, right? All you know is Manny Shevitz because you might have heard about it on the video, right? Then you might get some cheap liquor, some bottom shelf, some Wild Irish Rose, Mad Dog, 99 bananas, right? You mix it all together. Y'all go to the hotel. Y'all get drunk. Y'all put on some Deacon, right? Act like y'all in the truth, or you put on some Tawam or something like that, man. Some Dino, and y'all kind of jamming out. Then y'all laugh, and then you lay down with this woman, huh? Right? Then you wake up with your mean hangover, right? Banging, and you write, you take an index card out and you write and say Thawada, but you spell it wrong, right? You tried this, but you didn't study the Hebrew, right? You forgot the D, you forgot the H, you spelled it all wrong. Thawada, 4, you put the number 4, Thawada for that, D-A-T. And you folded it up and you put it on a nightstand. Then you checked out, man. You checked out the hotel. That's fornication, right? That's fornication, right? And you delete your number, man, right? And she has to figure out how to get. It's sad, we kind of, made light of it. It's humorous, right? But nevertheless, it's a sad deal, man. Because she's stranded out there. She thought that she had a man of the Lord, And this guy was an absolute Negro, man. So that would be fornication, just laying up and laying down with a woman and not taking care of that woman as your wife. And it's not even that. It's about the entire process of it, man. Right? Let me get one precept. Let me get one. Right? This First Corinthians, the sixth chapter, real quick precept. First Corinthians chapter 6 and 9. Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of God? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind, nor thieves, nor covetous, nor drunkards, nor revilers, nor extortioners shall inherit the kingdom of God. Right? So that's you total grounds for being plucked out the land of the living. So that would be fornication. And from a woman's aspect, it's the same thing, right? You knew what you came up there for, man. All y'all did leading up to that, all y'all did was sex. All y'all did was talk about sex and how it feel and who got what. And, oh, yeah, I heard you got big feet. I see you at camp. What's that? And then he talking about, oh, whatever. And that's all they talking about, man. No righteousness, no purity, no proven, oops, I didn't mean to send that. Right? Get on FaceTime, they freaking off, man. Right? So she knows she's going off, he's going off, and they know what it is, man. That's fornication. You got it, King.
No, that's plain. We can go to the next one.
Okay, Con. We got another concubine question. Right? Concubines. Well, we have concubines in the kingdom. You want to deal with it, or I can deal with it?
I'll jump in there.
I got one.
All right, go ahead.
Okay, this is I'll go to Zechariah.
Yeah, I was about to get that. You got it.
Okay, let me get this one real quick. Okay, this Zechariah the 14th chapter. All right, this Zechariah chapter 14 and verse 1. Behold, the day of the Lord cometh, and thy spoil shall be divided in the midst of these. So when we take these other nations down, we're going to take their wealth and divide the spoils up amongst the children of Israel. But I will gather all nations against Jerusalem to battle, and the city shall be taken, and the houses rifled, and the women ravished. And half of the city shall go forth into captivity, and the residue of the people shall not be cut off from the city. So when we're taking these other nations down, it's going to be in the same spirit of how it was in the ancient world, huh? Right? There is no God of the Old Testament and God of the New Testament. During the time of Moses, we were destroying cities and taking those women captive. Huh? Read Numbers, the 31st chapter. Right? We read Deuteronomy, the 21st chapter. Read Deuteronomy, the 20th chapter. There are laws of war. You have to destroy the men, but you can take their women captive. Right? So yeah, you will have these concubines in the kingdom. Right? Now, are the daughters of Zion going to be concubines? I wouldn't say so. Right? But I would say that if when you take these other nations down, hey, it's according to the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, man. Right? But you got it, King.
Con, and two, when we take down these nations, it's going to be an act of war. So it's going to be the same spirit like the brother was going into in Numbers, the 31st chapter. Right? This Numbers chapter 35 and 15. And Moses said unto them, had he saved all the women alive? Behold, these caused the children of Israel through the counsel of Balaam to commit trespasses against the Lord in the matter of Peor, and there the plague was among the congregation of the Lord. Now therefore kill every male among the little ones, and kill every woman that have known man by lying with them, but all the women, children, have not known a man by lying with them, keep alive for yourselves. And ye abide without the cap 7 days. Whosoever have killed any person, whosoever toucheth any slain, purify both yourself and your captives on the 3rd day and on the 7th day. So, it's literally laws on how to take down these women. So, literally, you would kill all of the men, kill all of the male babies, and you would take the spoils of war. And a part of the spoils of war are the women. So I mean, for them shaving their heads, paring their nails, I mean, there's laws on this. We just read about it in Deuteronomy, the 21st chapter, verse 10 all the way down, Numbers chapter 31, Zechariah chapter 14. You know, it's various precepts, you know, on taking down the nations and the captives and spoils of war, which would be the women. Right. I got one more.
Kind.
Right. So I mean, I'm gonna touch on it one more again, you know, through the spirit. But this is Genesis chapter 16. Now, when you read Genesis 16 and Genesis period, you know it's deep in the spirit. But I'm gonna read, matter of fact, I'm gonna get Genesis chapter 22. Genesis 21, that's what I want. It's Genesis chapter 21 and verse number 10. Right? I'm gonna read on. It says, I'm gonna start at 10. Wherefore she said unto Abraham, cast out this bondwoman and her son, for her son of this bondmaid should not be heirs with my son, even Isaac. And this thing was very grievous in Abraham's sight because of his son. And God said unto Abraham, let not be grievous in the sight because of the lad and because of the bondwoman, and all that Sarah have said unto thee, hearken unto her voice, for in Isaac shall thy seed be called. And also thy son of thy bondman will I make a nation, because he is thy seed. And Abraham rose up early in the morning and took bread and a bottle of water and gave it unto Hagar and put on his shoulder of the child and sent her away. And she departed and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. Right. So when you read this chapter, you know, Sarah, she's angry, you know, send her out. But I mean, essentially, this bondwoman and these heathens, they belong to us, man. Right. So I mean, it may be of you to cast them away or not deal with them, but essentially, everything in this world belongs unto us. So I mean, it's real spiritual that the Lord is calling her back, because you don't want to have lost sheep, you know, lost a stranger, this, that. I mean, everything's going to be our possession. So in the kingdom, you know, when we govern our lands, when we cast everything by lots, we take up the spoils of war. All of these heathens are going to belong unto us, and these women, they're going to belong unto us. Now it's going to be the same spirit how Abraham had Sarah. You may set your wife over this woman, you may have her doing this and that, and however it go down through the spirit. But nevertheless, they're going to all belong unto us in the kingdom. You're not going to have you know, just wanderers. They're just wandering around. They're just trying to who do you belong to? Like in
Right.
slavery, and they had to bring forth their sheets and their tablets. They just wander around through the forests, right, in the kingdom of heaven. No, everybody's going to have their slaves, and you're going to know what's going on. You got it.
Yeah, and I just want to get one more to add to that. This is Genesis chapter 34 and 25, right? It reads, and it came to pass on the third day when they were sore, that the two sons of Jacob, Simeon and Levi, Dinah's brethren, took each man his sword and came upon the city boldly and slew all the males. Right? So this is what they did to the Canaanites. And they slew Hamor and Shechem his son with the edge of the sword, and took Dinah out of Shechem's house and went out. The sons of Jacob came upon the slain and spoiled the city, because they had defiled their sister. They took their sheep and their oxen and their asses, and that which was in the city, and that which was in the field, and all their wealth, and all their little ones, and their wives, took they captive, and spoiled even all that was in the house. So the 12 sons of Jacob raided them, huh? They raided them. They took everything from them, huh? Took what was in the field, took what was in the house. They took their women from them, huh? From the entire city. 12 sons, man. Took down an entire kingdom. Just like that, man. Right? So that's always been an act of war. Every nation does it. Right? The so-called white man did it to us, man. He took the men, he killed the men, castrated them, raped our women. Right? The Philistines do it. The Ishmaelites do it. Every nation does it. It's just a part of war. You know? Okay, let's move on. Why does the New Testament endorse the concept of only having one wife? If we as a nation are supposed to be the church, should we only have one wife? Well, I wouldn't say that the New Testament endorses the concept of only having one wife. That more so pertains to particular offices, right? A bishop, right? A deacon, right? That's the mainly the time that you see about a man having one wife, because also in Matthew the 25th chapter, read about a man having 10 wives, right? How shall like it's a kingdom of heaven to a man with 10 wives? So I want to get that at First Timothy 3 real quick, right? I just want to get one precept on that. Right now, if you're a bishop, then through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashim Rashai, the wisest thing for you to do is to have your sole focus be on the church, right? Now, can you solely focus on the church and you have 6 wives running around? No, man. And then you got 40 kids, right? So that becomes the church, right? Your sole focus gets on that route. First Timothy chapter 3, right? Let me get this in verse 1. It reads, "This is a true saying. If a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work." Now, the word bishop means an overseer, somebody that oversees the church, right? That's a good work if you decide to go that route, right? A bishop then must be blameless, the husband of one wife, vigilant, sober, of good behavior, given to hospitality, apt to teach. So a man that's a bishop should have one wife because that allows his focus to be on prayer, fasting, leading the church, giving counsel, direction, right? The more wives you have, obviously, the less time you have for the church, right? Just like the Lord told the king that he can't multiply wives into himself, right? So I wouldn't say that it endorses what they call monogamy. It's just fitting for particular offices based on what they have to be responsible of. You got it, King.
Con, and I want to read that in Matthew chapter 25, right? In verse number 1. Then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins, which took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. So who's saying this parable? Yahushua saying this parable. He's not likening the kingdom of heaven unto anything wicked or out of order. He's likening it unto what 10 virgins, right, going forth to meet their bridegroom. So that's a righteous thing. And the New Testament doesn't push having one wife. It's just a different you have to understand when you read the New Testament or you read a book, it's a spirit over that book. Right? You have Matthew's about the Gospels, about the miracles of Yahushua, it's about parables. It's not pushing the narrative like when you read Numbers. You got spoils of war. We went in the wilderness. It's a different time frame. It's not that it's a different spirit or the Most High has changed, but each book, the Lord, has a different narrative of how he's pushing it. Revelations isn't going to talk about the things that happened in Genesis. It's not going to be that same spirit where his 12 sons came up and they're getting a prophecy in the last days, or Dana and Shechem. It's a different book with a different spirit. You have the Gentiles being brought in, right? You have the Gospels, right? You have different things. First and Second Peter. Peter's about to get delivered up. He's talking about the church. Paul, he's getting delivered up in Second Timothy. Each one of these books has a spirit by what Paul, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, Peter, or John is bringing forth. So, with that being said, you just got to have it being broken down the correct way. You got certain precepts like 2 Corinthians, I believe that's 7:3, that a lot of people break down wrong. This 1 Corinthians 7:3, let the husband, I'm going to start at 2. Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife, and let every woman have her own husband. Now, when you read Corinthians, you have to understand why Paul's even saying this. Was a lot of spirits of fornication in the church. It's really picking off from chapter 5, chapter 6, and chapter 7, all dealing with fornication. So it was a reason why Paul was saying this. And that word own doesn't mean that he can't have more than. You may have your own pair of shoes, but that doesn't mean that you don't have more pair of shoes. This is just your own pair of shoes. And it's talking about specifically your own wife, that you don't commit fornication, with women and taking other women's wives. It's like other men's wives. It says, and let every woman have her own husband. So, I mean, it's really just going in the spirit of not committing fornication and adultery. It's not saying that you can have multiple wives. You got it.
Yeah, and I just want to read these two quick precepts to that point. This is 1 Timothy 1 and 2. Unto Timothy, my own son in the faith. Let me read that again. That's what Paul said. Unto Timothy, my own son in the faith, grace, mercy, and peace from God our Father, the Yahushua Mashiach our Lord. So Timothy is Paul's own son. Does that mean that's his only son? No. Let's go to Titus 1 and 4. To Titus 1 and 4. Mine own son after the common faith. So why would the word own mean only if in one verse Timothy is called Paul's only son, own son, then another verse Titus is called his own son? Because own doesn't mean only. Like the brother said, man, you can have your own car, right? You might pull up, hey, this my own car, this mine, right? That doesn't mean that you can't have two or three, right? So don't be beguiled with enticing words of man's wisdom, right? I mean, it's just English. It's not deep, humbly speaking. It's just it is what it is, man. All right. So it says, to Titus, mine own son, after the common faith, grace, mercy, and peace from God the Father, from Yahushua Mashiach our Lord. So Titus and Timothy are both Paul's own sons. All right. But they're not his only sons. The entire church of Corinth were his sons. Right. He had a lot of sons. Right. For a man that has multiple sons, each one of those sons is your own son, but you have more than one. So when it said, let every man have his own wife, that speaks strictly about you not being single and you lusting after another man's wife. Get your own wife. If you had, not that we're telling brothers just keep getting wives, but I mean, if the chapter's about, if it's about avoiding fornication, wouldn't two wives help you avoid fornication? Yes. So why, it makes no sense for you to say you can't have more than one wife when the topic is conversation. When the topic is fornication. All right. So that's like the brother said, that's a scripture that's always broken down incorrectly. All right. Shalom, Yardan.
Shalom, King.
Shalom, King. You want to get on this question or you want to move on? Okay.
Guys, like technical difficulties.
Okay, Con, you kind of low. Can an Israelite wife be considered a concubine or only a heathen wife? Right. Well, it could be both. Right. When you read right. Let me get this in Exodus. I kind of quoted it, but I'm gonna read this real quick. This Exodus chapter 21 and 7. Right, quick precept. I can make sure this is all right. Exodus 21 and 7. And if a man sell his daughter to be a maid servant, she shall not go out as the men servants do, because the men servants go out at the 7th year. This woman can't go out at the 7th year because she's not sold like a man. She's sold to be a concubine, but it's called a maid servant. She's being sold as a wife. Exodus 21 are laws amongst the children of Israel, right? If she please not her master, who hath betrothed her to himself. Why she called her master? Because she was bought, right? Who hath betrothed her to himself, then shall he let her be redeemed. To sell her into a strange nation, he shall have no power, seeing he had dealt deceitfully with her. So that's the same context as Deuteronomy 21. You can't sell this woman. Now in Deuteronomy 21, that would be a heathen woman. And in Exodus 21, you can't sell her. That would be an Israelite woman. If you betroth that woman after you buy her and she don't please you, then her father can redeem her back in that betrothal period because she's being bought as a concubine. All right. So that's what it's saying. Let's head. I got something. Yeah, Don, you got something on that? Okay. Okay, hold on. They had me skip a few. Hadassah S. And why is a deacon are to have one wife? Okay. Kind of cover bishop. We're going to go into deacon.
Yeah, we kind of covered that.
That was mine.
All right. We'll go into that. It's the same thing as a bishop. Well, it's the same thing. The deacon is a lesser office than the bishop, but it's still a high level of responsibility to deal with the church. Right? Let me get this. Unless brothers have something. Okay, this First Timothy chapter 3 and 8. Likewise, must the deacons be grave, not double-tongued, not given to much wine, not greedy of filthy lucre, holding the mystery of the faith and pure conscience. And let these also first be proved, then let them use the office of a deacon, being found blameless. Even so must their wives be grave, not slanderers, sober, faithful in all things. So a brother can't have a high office if his woman out of order, right? If your woman out of order and your kids out of order, you can't get that office. Let the deacons be the husbands of one wife, ruling their children and their own house as well, right? So that's a heavy office right there. I tell you that. For they that have used the office of a deacon well, purchase to themselves a good degree and great boldness in the faith which is in Hamashiach Yahushua. Right? So it's a high office. It's a lot of responsibility. You got it, King.
Good.
Okay, we can move on. Okay, from D. Hort Jubran Israel. Will there be a day where God reveals who his people are to the world, kings?
Come. This is Sirach 18. I'm gonna get Wisdom of Solomon first. Chapter 5, verse 1. It says, can brothers hear me?
God.
Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him and made no account of his labors. Right? And that day is Esau and the nations. Right? They made no account of our labors, and they think everything that the Israelites are doing is in vain. However, when we read 1 Corinthians 15 and 58, it says, therefore, my beloved brethren, be ye steadfast, unmovable, always abounding in the work of the Lord, for as much as you know that your labor is not in vain in the Lord, but the heathen see contrary. Which is why when you read in Lamentations, the 3rd chapter, it says this, I am the man that hath seen affliction by the rod of his wrath. So like, let me get Lamentations chapter 1, verse 4. It says this, I'll start at verse 2. She weepeth sore in the night, and her tears are on her cheek. Among all her lovers, she hath none to comfort her. All her friends have dealt treacherously with her. They are become her enemies. I'm going to jump down to verse 4. It's like verse 3. Judah is gone into captivity because of affliction, and because of great servitude she dwelleth among the heathen. She findeth no rest. All her persecutors overtook her. Between the straits, the ways of Zion do mourn, because none come to solemn feast. All her gates are desolate. Her virgins are afflicted, and she is in bitterness. I got one more. It says this in the book of Lamentations, This is Lamentations chapter 2 and 15. All that pass by clap their hands at thee. They hiss and wag their heads at the daughter of Jerusalem, saying, is this the city that men call the perfection of beauty, the joy of the whole earth? Right? These nations, these heathen, they all look and they laugh at us. They look at us like we're spittle, like nothing. I mean, just look up and see what's going on in the news. Detroit, Chicago, and Baltimore, if I'm not mistaken, Baltimore are all getting curfews. But for what reason? Because Israel is acting like a demon, acting like a demon, right? So the heathen, they laugh at us. But the 1/3, the 144, I mean, they're going to be revealed in the last days by the spirit of Yahweh Shema Shai, because that's just prophecy. This is Revelation 11 and 8. And their dead bodies, that's Israel, right? We were spiritually dead, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which is spiritually is called Sodom and Gomorrah.
Sodom and Egypt.
It's like it's Sodom and Egypt, where also our Lord was crucified. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues, the nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put to rest. It's like put in graves. But after that third day, I mean, the Spirit's going to come back upon us. And you read that in verse 11. And after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them. And they stood up upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Right? And we read that again. And after 3 days and a half, the Spirit of life from God entered into them. And they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them. That them, and that first them is the heathen. Great fear fell upon them. Because these are the same heathen that called our labors wicked. They consider what we do is in vain. And it says this, verse 12, and they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. So to answer your question, will there be a day where God reveals who his people are to the world? Khan. But I'm going to close out with what I started with, which was Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 5, verse 1. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as have afflicted him, and made no account of his labors. When they see it, they shall be troubled with terrible fear, and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation, so far beyond all that they looked for. And they repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this was he whom we had sometimes in derision. We brought that out earlier in the book of Lamentations, the 2nd chapter, 15th verse. And a proverb of reproach. We fools accounted his life madness, and his end to be without honor. How is he numbered among the children of God, and his lot is among the saints? And that's what a lot of these heathen are going to say in these last days, or at the very, very end. They're going to see Israel get beamed up. They're going to see the chosen, and they're going to say to themselves, these are the children of God. These are the kings that the Most High revealed. But with that, I yield.
And I want to add one more on top of that. Like the brother was bringing out, I mean, that's even happening right now on a lower level. You know, these heathens, they know who we are. I mean, a lot of them do. You know, maybe you're not your so-called manager or whatever the case may be, you know, the person, manager at the Starbucks. He may not know what's going on, but the word's going abroad throughout the four corners of the earth. And who's in the four corners of the earth? The heathens as well. So the same way this gospel has to be preached, these nations are going to witness it also. That's why the Lord said we're going to be hated of all nations, because they're going to know who we are for that hatred to happen. Yeah, they already hate us, but what does it mean we will be hated of all nations? I mean, on a deeper level, you have to perceive that when this truth is coming to pass, when all hell starts breaking loose, I mean, these heathens are going to actually know we're the children of Israel. There's going to be laws passed, the creeds. It's going to be hard to so-called blend in the society without being recognized, noticed, being on the corners, teaching. They may take freedom of speech. You know, it's going to be a famine of the word. And all this is slowly building up the prophecy kicking the past. And why is freedom of speech going to be taken away? Because of the Israelites. It's not going to be because of the Christian pastor with the megaphone on the curb. He has nothing to do with prophecy. This is the book of Zephaniah chapter 3 and verse 18. I will gather them that are sorrowful for the assembly, for the solemn assembly, who are of thee, to whom the reproach of it was a burden. Behold, at that time I will undo all that afflict thee, and I will save her that halted, and gather her that was driven out, and I will get them praise and fame in every land where they have been put to shame. So praise and fame in every land is throughout the whole earth where we've been put to shame. So the Lord's going to reveal in the last days, as he already is doing now, until the coming of Yahushua, who the children of Israel are.
That's right. That's right. Right. So all praises. Right. That's right, man. The world is witnessing this thing right now, man. And it will, like Yardan said, on a massive level, be revealed to the entire earth. Okay, next question, right? I'm going to try to focus on questions that pertain to the topic, right? We covered this. Okay, why is the bishop to have one wife? We covered that through the spirit. Lil Kyle, what will be done to the heathen woman in the kingdom? I believe we covered that. Right, we covered that one. Okay, let's see what else we have. Jaqueen, Israel. If your husband or wife divorce you for no reason, if they remarry, can you be free to remarry? So if your husband, let's just deal with it now. If a husband put away his wife for no reason, if she burnt the unleavened bread, you know, or didn't put too much cheese in the stuffed crust pizza and didn't really put the sauce on a hoagie, can he just puts her away, right? And then she says, well, all right, well, she leaves this camp, and then she joins this congregation and says, well, I'm single, you know, but she was really put away for no reason. She's technically still married, even though she persuades herself that she's single because her husband left. No, she can't do that, right? And we'll deal with it with both sides. Let me get this first in Matthew. All right, let's go to Matthew. This ain't Matthew chapter 5 and verse 31. It hath been said, whosoever shall put away his wife, let him give her a writing of divorcement. When it says it hath been said, it's quoting the law, Deuteronomy the 24th chapter, right? 1 on down. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving for the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery. And whosoever shall marry her that is divorced, committeth adultery. So I'm going to read that again. But I say unto you that whosoever shall put away his wife, saving means accept, right? So accept the cause of fornication, causeth her to commit adultery. And whoso shall marry her that is divorced, committeth adultery. So if you put away your wife for any reason outside of fornication, right, or fornication could be adultery with a man, it could be laying up with a woman. My brother said that he caught his woman laying with another woman. Right, well, what do I do? Well, I don't know. How do I feel about that? Because brother, that's still fornication, brother. It's still fornication. Well, I mean, think about. No, ain't nothing to think about, man. If your woman is with a man, or you catch her with a woman, or you catch her with a beast, or you catch her with her father or her uncle, right? That's still fornication. Those are all different forms of sexual immorality. Now, let's say you put her away for putting too much cheese in a stuffed crust pizza. So you buy this too much cheese and you write her a bill of divorce and you put her away. Guess what? She's still married to you as long as she's alive. I know brothers got precepts.
It's the book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 7, and I'm going to start at verse 10. It says, unto the married I command, yet not I, but the Lord. Let not the wife depart from her husband. So that's plain. The wife can't depart from her husband and do her own thing. But if she depart, let her remain unmarried or be reconciled to her husband. And let not the husband put away his wife. So no matter what goes on in a marriage and what goes on, you understand, in a relationship as you are in this truth, you just can't be single anymore. Once you lay down and that covenant is made and everything is in the eyes of the Lord, you're baptized, you're newness of the mind, you know the scriptures, you have the understanding of what a covenant is. You whether you write an instrument of paper or not, whatever the case may be, you do the statutes of marriage and you start to take care of your wife, you can't withdraw from that, man. You can't just be all over the place with doctrines and shaking to and fro. A double-minded man is unstable in all his ways. So you have to take care of your wife. But there are certain instances in a marriage where it may not be healthy to dwell amongst another. You may have somebody's on crack, they may have to, they may be dangerous, subject to demons and legions. They may have to depart for a season. They may have to go to a clinic, right? He may be beating his wife. She may have to get a, peace of mind, pray to the Lord and counsel, and she need to be saved out of that situation. But everybody can repent, except for the blasphemy of the Holy Spirit. So you may have to reconcile in due time, but that's not forever where you just put away and you go to Jamaica and live your best life. It says, but to the rest speak I, not the Lord. If any brother have a wife that believeth not, and she be pleased to dwell with him, let him not put her away. And the woman which have an husband believeth not, and if she be pleased to dwell with her, let him not leave him. For the unbelieving husband is sanctified by the wife, and the unbelieving wife sanctified by the husband. Else were your children unclean, but now are they holy. But if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. That's not talking about that they're no longer married. When it says, but if the unbelieving depart, let him depart. A brother or a sister is not under, but God have called us to peace. Meaning you're not bondage, right, to the elements of that marriage if that husband is nowhere to be found, right? She can't do the offices of a woman to cook, clean, and the marriageable duties of sex if he's somewhere and he can't find her, and vice versa. The husband can't take care of the wife. He can't provide for, protect, or teach her if she departed out of that marriage. You're not under bondage, right, to death and not get the kingdom of heaven just because they departed and you didn't. So, I mean, when you read these scriptures, most definitely want to see that no matter what goes on or how wrongly done you are, once you're married, you're married. And there's no way around that through the spirit of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Because what the Lord have joined together, he said, let no man put asunder. Brothers got it.
You're saying, just laying back off the brothers. It is saying Romans the 7th chapter, know ye not, brethren, I speak to them that know the law. So Paul makes reference to the law, implying or really suggesting that you have to read the law to understand what he's about to say. How that the law hath dominion over a man as long as he liveth. For the woman which hath an husband is bound by the law to her husband, so as long as he liveth. But if the husband be dead, she is loosed from the law of the husband. That's really the only way that you can remarry, is if the only way if you can remarry if the husband is dead. So then, if while her husband liveth, she be married to another man, she shall be called an adulteress. But if her husband be dead, she is free from that law, so that she is no adulteress, though she be married to another man. So that's really the only way that a sister may get remarried, is if that brother gives up the ghost. Wherefore, my brethren, ye also are become dead. But that's really all I wanted to answer the question. If your husband or wife divorces you for no reason, so that that's in pre-adventure, they so-called divorce because again, there's really no divorce save if it was a fornication on a woman's behalf, and if the husband be dead, that's the only way you can really kind of remarry. For those who have ear, let them hear. Because we've seen a lot of Israelites try to, he beat me, so, I'm not married again. Or I'm not married. I mean, you are, but, it's just one of those tough lots, and that's the condition of the battle. And we've seen a lot of brothers and sisters in terrible situations. One brother said he had to deal with his wife coming home at 12 in the morning, and he has no proof to say that she's cheating, but he kind of got to deal with it until like more comes to light. He can't just he can remarry, but just a lot of sticky situations. There was another sister. She said her husband just smoked weed, and sometimes he prayed. There's no excuse for her to get remarried unless he gives up the ghost. She just has to kind of endure it. You got it.
Yeah, and if you aren't getting beat by your husband, then don't stick around.
Yeah.
There's nothing to find out, right? Just to what Yaradan said. If your husband is beating you and you're in that type of domestic violence situation, we're not condoning that. Not what we say, stay in that household. Now, you can leave that household and you may stay with a family member or a friend or whatever the case may be. Now, are you lawfully married to that man? Yes. But for safety's sake and wisdom's sake and your health and your well-being, then you have to separate in terms of dwelling with that man, and vice versa. You have men that get beat up, right? You got men that get beat up by their wives. We've heard about it. We've seen it. They go to town on these men. They come home and they get wailed on and beat up on. And you got women that do a sorcery in the house, right? They're doing sorcery. They're dealing with tarot cards and they make a voodoo doll of their husband and they, committing all types of madness, man. And that man may not want to live with that woman. There's a pentagram in the basement and she's committing wickedness and doing God knows what in the house. And he may not want to reside in that dwelling place, for the time being. Now, if that spirit get off of her, and that spirit get off of him through self-examination, counsel, proving, and time, then, it will be comely for that marriage to be reconciled under the spirit of Papa Yahweh Bashem Shah. I know a lot, like Yaradan was saying, you got certain women that do say that they're no longer married over trivial circumstances. Some are weighty, and some are trivial. Oh, he's working 60 hours a week. Am I married? Yes, you're married. Well, why? Well, because we're in captivity. I found out he has another wife. Now, we're not justifying however he went about it, if it was in lewdness, but guess what? You're still married. So, I was meditating on that earlier. I said, it's a heavy lot, man, primarily for both men and women. But once you lay down with a man as a woman, then you're bound to that man like the brother's willing to as long as he's alive, right? And you can't deceive yourself or let nobody convince you otherwise. Because as soon as that's Satan playing on your mind, the next thing you know, you doing God knows what with another man, and now you're in the act of adultery, and now you're going to be out this stuff, right? Like Yaradan said, sometimes it's the condition of the battle. There's a lot of, Abigail was in that situation. Remember, Abigail dealt with a fool. Now, it don't say for how long, right? But nevertheless, she was in a marriage that was not suitable, huh? But the Most High delivered her from that situation. The only way a woman can be delivered from, one of the only ways, the only way, I should say. Let me get this real quick in 1 Samuel, right? Quick precept on that, right? 1 Samuel chapter 25. And I want to get straight to the point, right? If you haven't read 1 Samuel, read 1 Samuel. Right? If you on the 24th chapter, say don't read 25. Okay, well, I'm not going to read the whole chapter, right? But I will read one verse. Well, 1 Samuel chapter 25 and 14. But the men were very good. It's like 14. But one of the young men, right? But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. So Nabal was a fool. He railed on David and displayed absolute hatred, right? And niggardness to David and his servants. So when you read this account, This First Samuel chapters 25, I'm gonna jump down, and verse 39. And when David heard that Nabal was dead, so Abigail's husband was dead, the Lord killed him. He said, Blessed be the Lord that hath pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and hath kept his servant from evil. Because you might want to do evil and get yourself out that marriage and try to take matters in your own hands. You can't take matters into your own hands, right? I'm sick of this, man. I'm gonna just be with another man anyway, right? The Lord Yahweh Shai, if he sees fit, he's going to keep you back from evil, and the Most High is going to take matter to his own hands. Now, you may have to patiently forbear that situation, but that's what this thing is about. This truth is also about long suffering, right? This truth is also about what? Being in the furnace and not fainting in adversity. The Lord said, if thou faint in a day of adversity, thy strength is small, in Proverbs 24:10. And that day of adversity could turn into a week or a year of adversity. But guess what? We got to bear that reproach, man. We got to take up our cross and follow Yahweh Shai, right? So let's read on. Blessed be the Lord that hath pleaded the cause of my reproach from the hand of Nabal, and hath kept his servant from evil. For the Lord hath returned the wickedness of Nabal upon his own head. And David sent and communed with Abigail to take her to him to wife. So then at that time, Abigail was allowed to remarry, but she couldn't marry another man as long as Nabal was alive, even though Nabal was a fool, right? So you got something in this yard, Don? Okay, let's move on. Hadassah S. After living in a world of sin, darkness, and shame, is it wise to have more than I would assume one wife? Is there another reason? Because God knows the truth. Well, I would say this. It all depends on that brother's household, his situation, and what his matters are. Right? A brother may literally need help in his house, right? He may need help. He may get another, and guess what? The brother might not need help. He might just want another wife, right? He might just want another wife. The wife, I know situations where a wife said, look, we need to get another wife in the house. So we've heard, a wide variety of occasions on why a man would bring another wife in. So, simply because the world is full of sin, darkness, and shame, does that mean it's not wise to have another wife? Well, that really doesn't matter. The world being of sin and darkness and shame has no influence on a man's decision to have another wife. Now, the only way it can have influence is if this brother is still in a world of sin. If his heart is still full of darkness and he's still ashamed of his evil, right? Or he's still moving in the spirit of shame and nakedness. That's the only way it wouldn't be wise to have more than one wife, if the aforesaid things influence his decisions to get another wife. Otherwise, a man could get a wife on his own wisdom, And I want to get this precept, right? Let's go to the book of Judges, right? Let's go to Judges, the 8th chapter, right? Quick precept on that. Now, is it impossible to find another righteous wife if you have one in a world full of sin? I mean, you're going to have, this is my opinion, there's evil and good, right? So you may find a woman and she may be in the world, right? She still may have worldly traits and worldly characteristics. So you pretty much taking a chance. It's a heavy decision bringing another wife into your house, man. It's not a light matter at all. That woman has to be thoroughly vetted, interrogated, proven, tried, and tested, man. Right? Because the world is of sin. But again, the wisdom behind that decision doesn't necessarily correlate. So I want to get this in Judges chapter 8. Right? 8 and 30. And Gideon had 70 sons of his body begotten, for he had many wives. So Gideon had many wives and he had 70 sons. Does it explain why Gideon decided to get these many wives? No, right? This is how things were in the ancient world. This is how things are, man. If a man again decides to have another wife, that's up to his predilection, his affinity, right? His zeal, for lack of better terms, or if he decides no. There are plenty of brothers that don't want another wife. There are brothers that say, I don't want a wife at all. I want to solely focus on the truth. A brother might say, I don't want a wife at all. That might not be the best decision for that brother. The brother that says, I don't want a wife at all, that's the same brother doing God knows what in the dark night, man. And struggling heavily with fornication and burned into his flesh, but he has made the decision not to have another wife. Maybe that brother, you need a wife, right? That's what the Lord said is better to marry than to burn. So it all depends on everybody's situation as well. You got a yard down.
I mean, yeah, he covered a great deal of it. It's on to the discernment of that man. Of course, that's something that should definitely be done with counsel. That's not a light decision to do, bringing someone into the household. Because just because two people are in the truth doesn't mean everybody's going to get along. I mean, there's all of Israel, and you still have inner conflicts. That's all throughout the history of Israel. So you can't just think to yourself, okay, they're in the truth, I'm in the truth. I like her a little bit. That's it. I mean, there's so many things that have to be weighed in the balance. Again, finances, conveniences. Why? That's really the number one question. Why? Because as a brother mentioned, some may do it out of lust. And according to Toby, you can't take your sister after your lust. And that's off. And Most High can destroy everything through that. And not only that, like it says in Mark 10:8, if you're already joined to one woman, you got to remember, you have love for her as a church, I would say. And if deep down, like, she's not with it, her spirit can't bear with it, you can't be a Negro and just say, hey, I'm an Israelite man. 1 Corinthians 11. It is what it is. You're not loving your wife as a church. That's not moving in prudence and in wisdom. So it also says this is as well in Sirach 13:1. This is Sirach chapter 13, verse 1. Brethren, it's like you burden not thyself above thy power while thou livest. Right, so you don't want to burden yourself above your power, as long as you live. Inside, we may want a lot of things. It doesn't mean you need it. And that's something you gotta ask yourself as well. Something I want or is something I need? Some brothers, want a burger and Five Guys. Brother, you need a salad. You don't need a burger. Some brothers may want a cat. Other brothers may want a dog. Brother, you don't need any animals. You got too much going on. God, you got it. Wow.
That's right, man. So, the Lord said in First Corinthians chapter 10-23, all things are lawful, but all things are not expedient. Right? So certain things are lawful, but certain things may not be expedient. Right? So, hopefully we answered that question. Okay, let's move on. Okay, from Rai or Ray. So like if we mispronounce the name. How would you go about proving another sister just coming to the truth or trying to learn about the truth with the wife in the truth? So that's a good question, right? Let me put Slack out. Okay, there's a question. All right, let's go to the book of Ecclesiastes, right? The 6th chapter, right? Ecclesiastes chapter 6. Now, let's read verse. I'm going to start at 7. It reads, if thou wouldest get a friend, prove him first, and be not hasty to credit him. Right? So to that point, you want to take that. So you want to take that time, the same time, Lord willing, that you may have taken with your first wife, to prove that sister, right? If you you want to see if she's good around sisters, because she's going to have to interact with your wife. If she's a friendly sister around sisters, you don't want to obtain a second wife who hates sisters in the truth. I just hate sisters. I just want to do, it's just me and you. Right? That's not what this thing is about, man. Right? Now she has to understand she's coming into a family, right? She's coming into a family that's already established. And y'all may have children, man. And you may not have children, but she has to understand, and y'all both have to understand that this is not just you and her. This is you, her, and your woman, man. Although y'all have independent relationships, y'all still cohesively form a household. So she has to know how to communicate in wisdom and deal in wisdom with your wife, and vice versa. So that's a heavy thing that comes to obtaining another wife, is how does she deal with amongst sisters? Is there an overbearing jealous spirit? Is there a spirit of contention? Is there a spirit of folly? Is there peace? These are things and spirits that you want to take heed to, right? So like, yeah. Huh? Right? That you want to take heed to, due to the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, right? So, that's just one thing. There's a lot that we can go into. Another thing, when it comes to proving another sister who's just coming into the truth, that she has to learn, again, how to be a sister first, right? And, you should either you guide her, or you have, your wife, or she has a sisterhood where she's learning how to serve the Most High first and foremost. And then she's learning how to be a sister. She's learning from older sisters. And then, she has built herself up to be a wife, right? You have older women that are set up in the nation, pursuing the Titus chapter 2, to teach younger women how to be a wife, right? Now, you can show your woman what's expected of her as a wife, but through experience, you can't show her how to be a wife. You can show her what the Most High requires of her. Here's the precepts. Here's the commandments. Here's the laws. Here's the statutes. But you have never been a wife, brother. So having her, be around, introducing her, if you can, to other brothers' wives that are righteous, or a sisterhood, just so she can learn what it means to be a sister and to be a wife, and how she interacts with kids and children and things of that nature. All of that plays a role into a sister just coming into the truth, because she should have her primary focus on Yahweh Shem Yahushua. Now let me get this in Titus real quick. All right, let's get this in Titus. Right, this is the book of Titus, chapter 2 and verse 3. Get the classic. The aged women likewise, that they be in behavior as becometh holiness, not false accusers, not given to much wine, teachers of good things, that they may teach the young women to be sober, to love their husbands, to love their children, right? To be discreet, chaste, keepers at home, good, obedient to their own husbands, that the word of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai be not blasphemed. So these are certain traits a woman learns with a woman, and then there are certain traits that are slakia, that a brother learns, or a woman learns while she's married. So I would allow that sister to learn how to be a servant first to Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai, and that's something you can show her. That's also something she has to learn through experience, man. And she has to know herself. When you come into this truth, you don't really know yourself immediately, man. You don't know what kind of demons you deal with. You don't know what are your weak points. You don't even know what your gifts are, right? You really want to know yourself. The Lord said, and one more point, Ecclesiastical chapter 37 and 27, my son, prove thy soul and thy life, and see what is evil for it, and give not that unto it, right? So she should be given an opportunity, through trial and error, through experience, to see what is good for her soul, right? Because you may bring this woman in your marriage and she don't even know that she struggles with lust, right? Or maybe she dealt with something in the world that she really didn't overcome yet, right? Or it could be anything, man. So this thing requires patience, a lot of wisdom, experience, and you don't want to be hasty in the matter, right? That's what it said in Ecclesiastes, the 6th chapter. So there's a lot more we can say, but or I can say rather. I'm sure Yardan, if you want to say something to the point, you can. But that's that. Yeah, something that Yardan. Okay. From Earl Green. Worried about these defiled women that other dudes. Oh, this isn't the question. Okay. Worried about these defiled women that other dudes done let it off in. It's like digging in the toilet in the dirt. There's nothing left here. Okay. I thought that was a question. That's that brother's that brother's opinion, right? That brother's entitled to his opinion. All right. Let's move on. All right. Let's move on. Okay. Next question. All right. Is it not at this time that the Most High is gathering his elect together to bring back a people that is near to him? Yes, this is that time. But our praise to Yahweh Shai, it is that time. And all praises, man, that the Lord is gathering his nation together in the last days by the word of the Holy One. Okay, let's move on. Okay, there's a lot of emotions on the comment board I'm beginning to see. Okay, this is emotional right here. You've just read fornicators, adulterers, sexual immorals will not inherit the kingdom of God, but have a concubine's will. Are you guys serious? Well, yeah, we're serious, man. We're about as serious as a heart attack, how they say. Right? What does that verse have to do with a man and concubines? Unless you're implying that having a concubine is fornication, which we clearly established it's not, based off of not only biblical definitions from world-renowned scholars, but ultimately precepts, laws in the Torah, statutes, and commandments. Right? So we're very serious. That verse has nothing to do with the point you're trying to make. So there's a lot of emotions, and we see that a lot. And we're not mad. We're not foaming at the mouth. We're not bent out of shape, right? We're not, wow, no, whoa. We're not going to get there. We understand that this is a sensitive topic to a lot of people, right? Some people are screaming at their laptop, their TV right now. Some people are crying. Some are getting emotional, right? Some women are just causing strife right now in their marriage. You might have a husband and wife watching this and they're just getting crazy, which it shouldn't be, but this is a sensitive topic to Israel. Our people still have a Western mind when it comes to Hebraic culture, lifestyle, and how we operate as a people, man. Our people still have an American mindset. Yeah, they'll put down the pork and they won't eat shrimp, crab, and lobster. But when it really taps into particular customs of our forefathers and foremothers, they won't exceed, right? Or even meet that requirement. They, like I said, they'll put a dress on. Man might put some fringes on, but when it's really time to get down how our forefathers and foremothers was, now everybody's emotional and everybody's sensitive. And the Most High is not dealing with your emotions and your sensitivity. We're an Eastern people, an ancient Semitic people from the other side of the world, right? Let's start acting like it, man, and put on that mind. Let me get Romans chapter 12 and 2. Right? There's a lot of emotions from men and women, man. And it absolutely, let me just tell you this. It makes me sick. It makes me sick to my stomach that we have to deal with our people's emotions, man. The Lord said he's coming to make ready a people prepared for the kingdom of God. And if you can't get right now and get down with the Most High's program and you're offended at particular laws, statutes, commandments of you and your people, then you got a lot of work you need to do. And if that requires prayer and fasting and you're sincerely struggling, then that's what it takes. If you need to get counsel then by all means, we will give you the email. You can reach out, you'll get counsel or whatever the case may be. But to willfully deny your father's heritage and the laws and commandments because your own opinion is over that, it's just absolute evil. And shame on you for defying the living God, man. Right? Now, let's get this precept real quick. Let's go to Romans chapter 12 and 2. Right? Romans chapter 12 and verse 2. Now, if you need help, hey, brothers are here to help you, man. Right? Don't get it twisted. But again, a lot of people don't want the help, man. They want to be justified in their own mind because that's what their grandmother told them, right? Or their uncle, man. Romans 12 and 2. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good. It's like it. What is that good, that acceptable and perfect will of the Most High, right? So you got to reform your mind, man. There's a lot of things that you have to grow into in this truth. Is it overnight? No. To use that as an excuse? No. The Lord said, I made haste and delayed not to keep thy commandments, man. You know? Let me get one more. Y'all done. If I'm doing long-winded, cut me off. Let me just get one more real quick. All right, this Psalms chapter 119 and verse 165. Right? Psalms chapter 119 and 165. It reads, great peace have they which love thy law. I'll read that again. Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. Nothing is going to offend the people that love the law. Some people get offended at fringes. Growing your beard out. Multiple wives offends a lot of people. We'll read it one more time. Great peace. Because you're at great peace when you understand this is your people. These are your forefathers. These are your foremothers. This is our book. This is what we did. This is part of me. It's not them. This is part of me. Right? You lose a part of you when you deny Yahweh Ba'ashmi Yahushua. All right? Great peace have they which love thy law, and nothing shall offend them. All right? And there are laws where women get their hands chopped off. There are laws where you got to hang people, man. And we got to love this law. You got to think.
It's Sirach 32 and 24. He that believeth in the Lord taketh heed to the commandment, and he that trusteth in him shall fare never the worse. So if you believe in the Heavenly Father, you're going to take heed to what he says. But if you don't, want to take heed to what he say, you kind of believe in him. You kind of believe in the Lord. You kind of love him. You kind of pray. It's like your heart is halfway in this. But like you said in Deuteronomy, you have to love thy Lord with all thy heart, with all thy mind, with all thy soul. Paraphrasing. This is Luke 7 and 23. It reads this. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in him. I mean, you're not going to continue to gain wisdom, knowledge. And it's just what the scriptures say. You're not going to get wisdom, knowledge, understanding if you're offended in the Lord or offended in what the word says. And being offended is, the law is black and white, to be honest. In the grand scheme of things, some words may be a little tricky, but nevertheless, all in all, in the grand scheme of things, it's black and white. It's pretty plain. The only times where people kind of have an issue with is when it contradicts what they think or how they believe. And for an example, in Deuteronomy 22 and 5, a lot of sisters say, well, I don't know, maybe. Everything up to Exodus, Leviticus, Deuteronomy is clear until that one verse. With that one verse, we got to bust out the Greek, the lexicon, pull out 30 scholars. I need to see old pictures and paintings, just with that verse alone. No other verse needs any clarification, just that one. And that's because a lot of people are secretly offended in the Lord. When we offended in the Lord, I mean, that's scary. You can't expect to get wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. How you gonna feed you when you don't like what's on your plate? Um, I was gonna get one more in Deuteronomy 6:4. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thine heart and with all thy soul and with all thy might. So you have to love the words that are written. You have to love it. Yeah, that's the eating of the whole roll. Ezekiel didn't spit out the roll. He didn't throw it up. He didn't vomit. He wasn't anorexic. He ate the whole roll. Ezekiel ate the whole roll. John ate the whole roll. And coming into this truth, you have to drink of that cup and eat the whole roll. I mean, Isaiah 4:1 has to be fulfilled whether we like it or not, because that's a prophecy. And I always say it's going to take for all hell to break loose for Israel to understand. That's the only time Israel's going to understand when all hell breaks loose, and then they'll see. But in a moment, it's the reason why you're thinking the way you think is a result of growing up in this Western mindset. You go to the land of Ishmael and ask the sisters, not the sisters, the women, how do you feel about multiple wives and all of that? They'll say, what's wrong with it? They'll look at you crazy. But Esau, literally just converted our mind to the way that he wants it to be. A lot of our brothers, we tell them, grow your beard. They say, I ain't doing that. I ain't doing that ish. That's a Western mindset to not grow your beard. Look at all the presidents so far. How many of them had beards? Look at the Romans. How many of them had long, big beards? That's a Western mindset not to have a beard. It's a Western mindset not to like multiple wives. With that, I yield.
Yeah, just one more comment. The Most High is against sexual morality. That includes multiple wives. Okay, that means David was sexually immoral. Abraham was sexually immoral. Gideon was sexually immoral. That's what that means, right? Fornicators, adulterers. God's not going to change to feed your sexual egos. Twisting scripture to feed your sexual lust. Shame.
I thought it said, David was perfect in the eyes of the Lord, except that adultery. Because he, didn't he still have multiple wives?
All right.
Abraham was off. Jacob, our forefathers, Isaac.
If I can't afford multiple wives, can't they just work and provide for themselves?
Brother, that's let me bring out a precept real quick. This 1 Corinthians 13:5. I brought all this earlier, so I read 13 and I think 3, where it says, burden not thyself among thy strength. Don't put yourself in a situation that you can't handle, because the whole household destroyed, and those sisters, I mean, that's blood on your head. If they fall away or fall short because of your lack of wisdom, then that the Lord's going to require that of you. And the daughters of Zion is, delicate and beautiful. So you don't want to go into a marriage with that mentality, or just think of it as such. Just still work for me. That's not a comely mindset to have. It's just 1 Corinthians 13:5. So it's 2 Corinthians 13:5. It says this: examine yourselves whether ye be in the faith. And before you get in the first wife, we have to examine ourselves. So how much more getting another wife? You have to really examine yourself. Not only that, again, even before getting the first wife, you have to make sure that you're built up through the Spirit. You can know all the precepts, you can fast, you can be mighty in the scriptures, but you still have to know how to be able to provide, know how to handle stress, know how to endure it and be patient, and have all the fruits of the Spirit before you even get one wife. How much more another? So it's not a light thing to get two wives. In fact, we even advise, through the spirit or tell Jake, you have to like be on fire in every way to even consider getting another wife. You got to be dang near perfect, you know. So it's not a light thing to do to get two wives. But if that's, it might be a sincere question, but pre-adventure, I'd rather me be thinking that, I want two wives so they can do everything for me. That's not a comely thought and a comely mentality, because you have to treat your wife as you treat the church, you know.
Yeah, and I want to address this comment right here. It says from Earl Green, other dudes got these hot looking women who seemingly got it together, and I have nothing. That bothers me. Well, let me read this again. Earl Green. Other dudes got these hot looking women who seemingly got it together, and I have nothing. That bothers me. Well, brother, that's not the right attitude to have. That's not the right attitude to have, brother. That's a covetous spirit. You can't covet what another man has. Right? We're going to deal with this, brother. We're going to deal with Obadiah question first. Right? But you can't covet that. It shouldn't bother you. First of all, calling another man's wife hot is not of the Lord, man. Right? Let's deal with that. First and foremost. Let me get this precept. This is getting. There's a lot of emotions. It's a lot of emotions. Brothers are mad. Sisters are mad. This is madness, right? Other brothers got. Boy, man, I tell you, man, Israel is something else, man. It's something else. Other brothers got these hot looking wives who seemingly got it all together, and I have nothing. That bothers me. With an exclamation point. Let's go to Exodus, the 20th chapter. Right? That is not the right attitude to have. All right? That's bad behavior. All right? That's poor behavior. This Exodus, chapter 20. Right? Boy, man, I tell you, man, I don't mean to laugh, but this is madness. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 17. Thou shalt not covet, right, thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass, nor anything that is thy neighbor. So, hey, guess what, brother? If your brother has a wife, that's his wife. Like, she's hot. What are you talking about? Other brothers got these hot wives. Brother, you going off. You can't covet your brother's wife. You can't even look at another man's wife. The Lord said in Sirach chapter 9, turn away from another man's beauty, man, or another's beauty. For many have been deceived by the beauty of a woman, for herewith love is kindled as a fire. Now, if you got to wait, brother, you got to wait. The Lord said, and I get it. The Lord said, he that has no wife will go up and down mourning. So, all right, you're going to be upset, that's scripture. But you can't be looking at another man's wife and just going off, man. Right? You're just going off. All right? You're just going off. Let me read that one more time as an example of what not to do, man. Right? And I'm sorry, Earl, but we just got to put it out there, Earl. Right? Let's see this again. Other dudes got these hot looking women who seemingly got it together, and I have nothing. That bothers me. Okay, well, I spoke my piece regarding that statement. You have brothers saying I snitched on your son, right? This is not the time for this, man. Right? This is not it. This is not what this is for. Right? It's a lot of emotions. It's a lot of emotions. Right? It's a lot of emotions, man. You had something y'all done? Oh my gosh, man. You try to you want to do it live, and let's see where else we at. All right, let's just move on. Let's just stay focused. Right? Let's just stay focused and move on. Okay, next question. All right, Salakia King. What about the case of marrying a divorced woman before you came into the truth, and now that you're in the truth, are you required to divorce her? You want to deal with that? I could deal with that. You on mute, King.
I was gonna say more information has to be revealed to I would want to know how long that brother was in the truth. Does he know sex is marriage? Because does she have kids? Is he still in her life? That's not something that should be done in haste because she just now notices she's an Israelite and she didn't know sex was marriage. Even for your case, even for the man's situation, um, that's not always the most wisest decision for multitude of factors because again, she may have kids, the ex-husband may pop back up in her life and put a spirit on her and kind of keep in contact with her for whatever reason. It's just not the wisest, but pre-adventure, she comes into the truth. She didn't know sex was marriage. You lay down with her. I mean, that's one thing, but again, before all of that, that's the last thing you should really do is find or run into, I would say, speak to a sister that was divorced. It's just not the most prudent. There's millions of Israelite sisters, millions. That's the first thing I would tell that brother. Don't speak to a woman that's divorced because it's always messy. It's always messy. He may get jealous. There's no telling. There's too many unknown variables. And that's why it says in Ephesians 5:15, you got to be circumspect in this walk. You have to know well to you're going, and you have to foresee the evil. In every matter you do, or every judgment you make, you have to foresee the evil and see the outcome, the possible outcome, I'll say. Because although we may not know the exact future, we can at least weigh things in a balance to see how it may play out or certain avenues it may play out. This is Acts 17:30. Pre-adventure, that brother lays with her, and he was ignorant too. I mean, that's Acts 17:30, which says this: at the times of this ignorance, God winked at, but now commandeth all men everywhere to repent. You have women that were harlots, and they repented. They didn't know any better. They repented in the name of the Lord, and so they have liberty to be married. But again, if this question were ever to be posed in real life, there's a lot more questions that would have to be asked. And also, he said, be required to divorce her. Will you lay with her? So, but I don't know if Malcolm wants to mention anything, but you got a lot lay in the bed you lied in.
Yeah, and I'll say this, like Yardan said, you have women that are married who have laid with men in the world in time past, and technically, according to the law, they would be married. You may have dealt with a woman who dealt with 3 men in the world. Technically, she would have had 3 husbands, which should not be so. Can that woman repent from fornication? Yes, right. She can repent from fornication. Now, if this is a situation where you married a divorced woman before you came into the truth, meaning I would assume, okay, you're in the world and she was divorced while she was in the world. and now you're in the truth. No, you're not required to divorce her. Right now, if she was divorced in the world and she was in the spirit of lewdness and she repented from that sin and the fornication she was in and came into the truth as a new creature in Yahweh Shai, and you married that woman, but then you found that out, well, those things are passed away. Now, if she commit fornication, then you could divorce her lawfully according to the Most High. Right? So that's how that would go. All right. Let's see where we at. Okay, next question. All right, we're going to try to deal with questions that pertain to the topic at hand. All right, questions that pertain to the topic at hand. All right, we're not going to deal with emotions. Right? I saw a comment. The brother told his wife want another wife. She said, "Over my dead body." So we're not dealing with emotions, right? We're dealing strictly with the truth. All right, the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Okay, let's see. All right, we may be winding down. Okay, we may be winding down. Okay, end time warriors. I thought it was one man and one wife. The New Testament do not condone. Okay, we covered that. All right, we covered this. All right, we covered this in the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. All right, we covered this. More than one wife. What? Yeah, we covered that, dog. Right, we discussed that. Right, that's you, Yaradan. All right, we're gonna move on. Okay, let's see. We're gonna move on.
All praises.
Okay, next question. Would not a relationship involve everyone in that relationship? Yeah, we discussed that. Yep, that's right. If you have another wife, expect to have everybody involved in that situation in your household. Right? Let's see. Kind of moving through this thing, man. We kind of catching up through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Okay, let's see where we at. Okay, we discussed, is it cool to have multiple wives? We discussed that already. All right, where we at? Okay, treat your wife as with the church, but you got two wives. Okay, that we discussed that too. Like I said, there's a lot of offended people, right? Right, this is in the Bible, right? It's all in the Bible. Okay, yeah, how? Okay, hold on. What do you do if your wife get upset when you talk to the wife and she leaves? Well, brother, if she leaves, you can't handcuff her. You can't handcuff your women to the doorknob or the front door, right? I mean, it's something that you can't do physically. Now, spiritually, if you get another wife, like Yaradan always said, this requires a lot of investigation, right? How did this happen? Why did it happen? Right? This is something I would like to inquire more about, but if you do get a wife, let's say it was done in righteousness, right? Everything was done in order, and she leaves, well, that's on her, right? She has to work out her own salvation with Yahweh Bashem Yahushua. Now, is it wise for a woman to leave her husband over a decision that her husband made that she doesn't like? No. That would be walking after the ways of your own heart and being emotional, right? If your husband did something, it was done in order and righteous, and you may not like it. The Lord said, "Let not the wife depart from her husband." We covered that. But and if she depart, the Lord told you not to do. But if she decides to do her own thing, then she has to remain unmarried, and the Most High is going to deal with her accordingly because she's doing something the Most High told her not to do. Now I can see if there's a situation where you snuck this woman in the house and dealing with her, and your wife wake up to a sound of another woman. She's trying to figure out what's going on, and your wife, the second wife, come downstairs and she all tucked in like this, and now that's a situation where she might be like, I can't deal with this. But if you told her, you laid it down, y'all discussed it, it's about order, there's a righteousness, and she still leave, then she has left her hedge. She has left the protection of the Most High and decided to be emotional, right? So we're gonna wind down. We could bring out some closing precepts, right? Hold on, we got one more. What if a woman is in the world and she broke up with her husband? Can you marry her in the truth? Well, she can't break up with her husband. I don't get that. She broke up with her husband.
Need more context.
Yeah, you
Well,
gotta,
willingly, are you referring to a divorce?
yeah. Right. We gotta get down to the bottom of that one. Right, we're gonna get down to the bottom of that one.
I seen one that
Oh, go ahead, Yarda.
I was gonna say I seen one that said, "What if you with a woman whose children are slow or special?" I was gonna say, be a father to the fatherless. You know, if you want to go down that lot. It also says in Sirach 11:2 or 12. Again, there's another that is slow and hath need of help. Hey, that's love. That's beautiful. So, you know, you helping. And it also says wanting ability and full of poverty. Yet the eye of the Lord looked upon him for good and set him up from his low estate. And he may set you in his life, or you, it's like the Most High may set you in his life just so you can build him up and strengthen him. That's actually, you know, mighty through the spirit. If you know, if that's your lot. We actually know a lot of brothers that was in that are in similar situations and cases. And that's actually of the Lord, you know, for all of that to happen. That was Sirach 11:12. Again, there's another that is slow and have need of help and wanting ability. In other words, lacking ability. I believe that was, correct me if I'm wrong, that was Jonathan's grandson, or Saul's grandson.
Yeah, Saul's grandson, Mephibosheth.
Yeah, that name, you know,
Yep.
Mephibosheth. You know, his legs were jammed up, but David looked out for him, you know, and restored him through the spirit.
That's right. So, you know, dealing with this brother, you said in terms of divorce. So let's say, you know, there was an example where you had a divorce. This is similar to the first question, or the previous question, in a sense of you had a woman that was divorced in the world with her husband. Can you marry her in the truth? If they was in the world and they was divorced and she found out about the truth, technically she can repent for X, Y, and Z if it wasn't done in order. Now, if it was done according to the law and they were in the world that had no knowledge of the truth, it's a different situation, right? So that's pretty similar to the previous question. A woman can repent from previous men that she may have dealt with and come in as a new creature in Yahweh Shah. Okay, what do you do if your wife can't talk to you and she's not deaf? Well, why can't she talk to you? All right, this is something that we need to figure out, right? Is she mute, right? Is she just said, I can't, I don't want to deal with you. This is something that we need to, we want to look into. Okay, next question. Okay, from Ashar Yahweh, Shalom, King. Is sex marriage, book, chapter, and verse? Yes, sex is marriage, right? Let's deal with it. Let's go to Genesis chapter 24. All right, let's get a quick precept on that. This is Genesis chapter 24 and verse 67. And Isaac brought her, who's to her? Rebekah. And Isaac brought her into his mother Sarah's tent and took Rebekah, and she became his wife, and he loved her, and Isaac was comforted after his mother's death. So Isaac laid down with Rebekah, and Rebekah became his wife, right? Straight up and down. There wasn't anything else. The only thing that was done was the fact that Abraham reached out to her father, Bethuel, right? And he gave gifts and bracelets somewhat as a dowry, but outside of that, there's no account of a covenant being written, instruments of covenant. There's no account of a wedding ceremony for 14 days. There's no account of that. Well, really, those things are pluses, right? For lack of better terms, but laying down with a woman is the ultimate form of marriage. So it's a big deal. It's not something you want to rush. It's not something that you want to do presumptuously. Because a lot of brothers, they have regrets. A lot of sisters, we heard, they have regrets. And a lot of things, they be out of lust and they just fall apart, man. Okay, from Ray. Is there a WFI camp in San Antonio? We're working on it, right? Through the Spirit. We're literally in the works through the Spirit and power of Yahweh Shem Shah. Reach out on email, right? We got something in the works in San Antonio. Okay. Okay, from Hadassah. Sorry if I seem defensive, but question filled my head. Did not Leah and Rachel have separate tents? Yes, they had separate tents, right? They did have separate tents. Okay. All right, but with that, we're going to close up, giving, of course, our honor and our glory to Yahweh Shem Shai. Yaradan, you want to bring out a closing precept? Right, so this is sticky marriage situations, man. Lord willing, Aki and Akwath were edified. There were a lot of diverse topics, questions. There were emotions. Lord willing, our people get prayed, and we grow in this truth and learn how to be spiritual minded and not carnally minded. Lord willing, brothers who thought about dealing with multiple wives, you have taken advice and consideration. Women who may have had doubts about particular situations in this truth and marriages, Lord willing, somebody else's question benefited you, and it's good that we go over topics like this, because this is what builds us as a nation, learning how to deal with one another in order and in love according to Scripture. Right, but it's like in Yardan.
And it's right chapter. It's like in Luke chapter 7, verse 47. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. But to whom little is forgiven, the same loveth little. All right, so that's deep on many levels. I'm going to read it one more time. Wherefore I say unto thee, her sins, which are many, are forgiven, for she loved much. So when you love the Most High a lot of your sins will be blotted out. And what is love according to it's like according to the Scriptures? It's loving your neighbors, right? It's keeping the commandments, right? When you do those things, that's you showing that you love the Most High. And therefore the Most High will forgive you of your sins. But if you love him a little bit, he'll only forget some of your sins. He'll only blot out a little bit of them. And in these last days, it's imperative that he actually removes all of them, according to us, like as long as we love him a whole lot. With that, I yield.
God. And then we get the classic. This Revelation chapter 22 and 12. And behold, I come quickly, and my reward is with me to give every man according as his work shall be. So the Lord is coming like a thief in the night. Prophecies are unfolding every day. You have events coming to pass. You have World War III on the rise. Nations building alliances, ditching the dollar. You have America sending ships in out there provoking China. You have Russia linking up. You have a lot of things going on in the earth, man. Right? So it would behoove the men of the Lord and the daughters of Zion to examine themselves, see where they are in their works, categorize it, see what you're falling short on, what you can do better, because there's always room for improvement. Yahweh Shem Shah is going to reward us according to our works. Righteous works are going to get rewarded. Evil works, you want to get that payback. You don't want to get that jammed up and be on the wrong side of judgment in the day of the Lord. Now is your opportunity to take this grace that the Most High is giving you and don't waste it. Don't waste it in vain. Don't sit there and lollygag, and take your time when it comes to serving Yahweh Shem Shah. Get right, amp up in reading, amp up in prayers, amp up in fasting, amp up in order, submissiveness, diligence, rulership, and all manner of equity, that we can get the hell out of here, man, and that you may save your soul in the day of the Lord. So with that, We're going to close up, giving, of course, all honor and glory to Yahweh by Shema Mashiach like Yahushai. From Yeshua. Shalom.
Shalom.